Good evening. Oh. Oh, right. Got it. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We are calling this meeting to order for open session for the board meeting on Tuesday, April 18th, 2023 at 6:02 p.m. Is Mia Valencia here from Orangethorpe Elementary? Would you please lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance? Here's a microphone for you. Everyone, please join us.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Put your right hand on your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mia. Our pledges get better and better every time. This is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would kindly join me in a moment of silence. Today is Holocaust Remembrance Day, and it will be brief, but we have so much to learn from history, and I realize that this would be taking place during our meeting, so please join me. Thank you very much. Reporting back from closed session, the board took action by a vote of 5-0 to approve the final settlement and release agreement by and between the Fullerton School District and the parent of student OAH, case number 2022-120620. The district agrees to reimburse parents for compensatory education services in an amount not to exceed $55,000. The district agrees to reimburse parents for independent education evaluations in an amount not to exceed $11,040. The district agrees to pay as a compromise and settlement only the sum of $15,000 for all attorney's fees owed or paid by parents in connection with the action. The district shall make payment to Adams and Associates APLC Client Trust 1930 Old Tustin Avenue, Suite A, Santa Ana, California 92705. The board also took action by a vote of 5-0 to approve the final settlement and release agreement by and between Fullerton School District and the parent of student OAH, case number 2023-010871, in the amount of $4,000. Finally, the board took action by a vote of 5-0 to approve the final settlement and release agreement by and between the Fullerton School District and the parent of student OAH, case number 2022-110478, in the amount of $17,000 and $26,500. All right, thank you. Tonight we are honored to make a number of recognitions. We have so much good news to share with the community and so much great work to recognize. Mr. Ling, are you here to begin this portion?
So each year we do the Wonders of Water art competition, and the Wonders of Water is really about the joy, playfulness that water can bring. So myself, I taught swim lessons. I was on a swim team. I played water polo, kayaked, surfed, played in the beaches. Some of my best memories ever were in the water. And so a few years ago, some friends of mine, we started a nonprofit. It's called Kids Fish On. I didn't even tell you about all my fun fishing experiences. And so people like Mike McAdams, wherever Mike is, he's one of the Board of Trustee members. And so each year we give out money and really to highlight some of the fun things that you can do, kids, in water. So you can see the beautiful artwork, and we're very excited. And with that, now that we're talking about art, I'm going to turn it over to Phil.
Thank you, Dr. Pleka. We're really excited and thrilled that all our families are here tonight to celebrate the Wonder of Water, which is a student showcase and competition, all centered around water. And so we have two categories. It's the love of water and the nature of water, where students submitted their artwork. And we had over 300 student submissions this year. And if you were at FSD Fest in April, or earlier, a couple weeks ago, you may have seen it in one of those cool blue rooms. And so we showcased all of our students' artwork and recognize all of them. And tonight, we're here to celebrate all of the winners tonight. And so thank you, families, for being here. Want to acknowledge that Kids Fish On. Thank you so much for your generosity in providing student incentives for the competition. And also want to acknowledge Ms. Janice Lee, who is our project liaison, for all of her work organizing the activity as well. So thank you, Janice. All right, so students, as you hear your name, Mr. Chong is going to present you with your certificate. You're going to come up here. You're going to go around the front, and your artwork should be in order. We'll swing over by Dr. Hammett. Y'all see Dr. Hammett over there? Right, there's Dr. He's a really nice man right over there. You can be right in front of him. You can hold up your artwork and your certificate, and as I call all the names, we're going to surround the room and then stay for group picture. And then there's one more little thing you'll get afterwards. All right, so, yes, and Mr. McAdam. And as you come up, you're going to shake some very important people's hands. So get your hand ready, students, okay? Your right hand, all right? All right, here we go. In the category of nature of water, honorable mention, Irene Cho from Fissler School. Is Irene here? Okay. All right, we're going to recognize Stephanie Torres from My Connect Academy as well, too. Stephanie. Our second place junior high winner from Beechwood School, Kate Lee. Kate? Yep. Let's make some room for Kate if we could. Thank you very much. All right. Congratulations, Kate.
Congratulations.
And then you'll swing around that way, and your art should be in the end by Dr. Hammett, right over there. There we go. All right, in first place for Nature of Water for junior high is Umar Mohammed Firdos. Is Umar here? There he is. Give him a hand. All right. Good job, Umar.
Congratulations.
Nature of Water for our elementary, TK through 6th grade. Honorable mention goes to Evelyn Kim from Laguna Road. Evelyn. There she is. There's Evelyn.
He's nervous.
Right up here, Evelyn. Congratulations, Evelyn. And honorable mention to Brandon Ortiz from Orange Store. Brandon Ortiz. There's Brandon. Congratulations, Brandon. Our second place winner, Christina Rue from Golden Hill. Christina. There she is. And students, if you have an aisle, you can cut through here, no problem. You don't have to walk all the way around. If you... And our first place winner is Abigail Hong from Beechwood School. Abigail. Abigail could not be here tonight. She accepts her award humbly and gratefully. All right, so we're moving on to the love of water, our junior high winners. Honorable mention is Madison Honorado from Beechwood School. Madison. Madison couldn't make it tonight, but no problem. All right, honorable mention also to Karina Wright from Beechwood School. Is Karina here? And our second place winner, Chris Woods from Ladera Vista Junior High School of the Arts. And Chris couldn't be here tonight, that's all right. And our first place winner from Beechwood School, TK Concrua. TK. And lastly, our Love of Water elementary competitors. We have Jaden Bong from Fissler, 4th grade. Jaden, there he is. Good job, Jaden. Oh, there you go. Congratulations. And also honorable mention to Kai Lee from Sunset Lane. Kai. Congratulations. Our second place winner is Yuriko Islas Manguia from Orangethorpe School. Congratulations, Yuriko. And our first place winner from Fissler School, Kaylin Kang. Kaylin Kang. And Kaylin couldn't be here tonight, but our grand prize winner from Sunset Lane School is Natalie Lim. Natalie Lim. There she is. And students, if you want to hold your certificates and your artwork as well, too, and parents, if you want to take a photo opportunity right now, that would be great.
Congratulations.
All right, students, hold up your artwork and your certificates. All right, how about one big group picture for all the winners together? Janice will take the picture. One big group picture. So winners, slide towards the middle. If Dr. Pleka, the board members want to slide next to the winners as well. One big group picture. If board members would like to get in there, that would be great. All right, winners, can we squeeze in a little bit more towards the middle? Winners, a little bit towards the middle. Slide in a little bit more if we can. All right. All right, all the winners, look over here. Give me a 1, 2, 3 smile right here. Say water. Perfect. All right, now student winners. For our first, second, and grand prize winners, through the generosity of Kiss Fish On, you have a little envelope as well with an incentive. So parents, please make sure to grab those envelopes. Take those, please. Make sure you keep them with you. And as you make your way this way afterwards, you want to grab a cupcake for yourself as well, too. And siblings, if you are here, you can also grab a cupcake. So you get your artwork, your award, and your cupcake. All right? So winners, thank you very much. All right, students, follow this way. Come on this way.
All right, everyone. While our Wonders of Water winners collect their delicious cupcakes, you know, I mentioned earlier that we have a lot of special guests with us this evening. Supervisor Chafee is here, Paulette Chafee. We've got representatives from Congressman Lou Correa's office. We've got a representative from Assemblymember Sharon Quirk Silva's office. We have a representative from Senator Josh Newman's office. We have local academics, community leaders, of course, our parents. But I don't know about any of you, but I've never been in the presence of somebody that was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by a United States president. So tonight, everyone, please allow me to introduce Sylvia Mendez, who we're recognizing for simply being above and beyond. Dr. Lee?
Good evening, President Tokor, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Pleka, and fellow cabinet, as well as guests. I'm still shaking from my selfie with Sylvia Mendez. We're here today to acknowledge and honor the outstanding contributions of a member of the City of Fullerton who has gone above and beyond to fight for civil rights and educational equity in America. Sylvia Mendez, her passion for civil rights and educational equity has been a guiding light for our community. We are truly grateful for her dedication and service, and her advocacy for educational equity has helped create just a more just and equitable society for us all. Today, we have the distinct privilege to recognizing her contributions for going above and beyond. For Fullerton School District, I'm going to go off script, because for Fullerton School District, we were able to establish for all third grade teachers a gift. We gave a gift, a book, Sylvia and Aki. We provided not only lessons, we talk about the historic court case of Mendez versus Westminster. So it's not, yes, it is an honor, truly an honor to have her here today, but what I really want to communicate to the community is not only an honor her presence here tonight, but her work, her life, and her journey, and how much that has been imprinted into our students' lives as well. I do want to recognize Orangethorpe's multi-age. Pam Miller and Nancy Karcher goes above and beyond every year to make her learning, this a learning journey for the students. The experience comes to life in her class. I'm not going to say any more. I think there's a video that will say it all. I want to recognize two students who have taken time to create a video. Mia Valencia from Orangethorpe, she's a first grader, along with Addie Schubert, a first grader from Orangethorpe as well. So we're going to go ahead and play this video for you today.
Who is our hero? The hero who changed the world. She was a smart girl. She tried to go to school, but the principal didn't let her. She had to go to school with cows, and they had to eat outside, and flies land on their food. But she had superhero parents, and they saved us from separation. Oh, thank you, Mendez family. Thank you, Mendez family. Thank you, Mendez family. Thank you for the fight. I cannot go to school with my best friend. I'm a happy kid. Thank you, Mendez family. Thank you, Sylvia. You are a hero. You have saved our schools. Your parents are so proud of you. Keep fighting. Go, Sylvia, go. Thank you, Mendez family.
Good job, girls. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Okay. All right, we would like to invite Sylvia Mendez up to the front to receive just a small token of our appreciation.
it would be finished by last evening. And in the morning, the first thing I had in my email, in Mrs. Karcher's email, was this video of the song. And she did it all on her own. Her father accompanies her on the guitar. And it was her idea because she's so proud that her friend, they can be friends. Because if you look, we've got a blondie and we've got a girl of Mexican heritage who would not be in school together if it wasn't for Sylvia, and she realizes that.
As I mentioned that we have so many amazing folks that we're recognizing this evening. Dr. Lee, you are still presenting the amazing Eglith Nuncy will be recognized now.
Yes, yay. For those of you who do not know Eglith Nuncy, she is an amazing individual and she is an inspiring leader. I've had the pleasure and honor of knowing Miss Nuncy as she served on the safety committee and spearheaded traffic control for Pack Drive. I don't know how many crosswalks you have gotten as with crossing guards. And she served for many years as our DLAC president. I do have a story, and I don't know why, Miss Nuncy, when people get the microphone, they have a story about you they want to share. But I do have a story. It was during the holiday break. And it was exactly on December 25th. As I was very frustrated that my roast was not turning out the way I wanted to, I see that my phone is ringing, and I look to see it said Eglith Nuncy. I answered the phone call, and she told me that she needed something, and because she was having a kermes, which is it's a get-together, fundraising get-together, and the money goes towards a family. She had informed me that a mother in our community had passed away from COVID. And they were raising funds to support the family so they can have a holiday season for the kids. I don't know if you remember that call, Miss Nuncy. I sure went back to my dinner table with a whole different outlook. That somebody on her break, on her holiday, would be so selfless to be serving the community to help out a family where I'm sitting here complaining about a roast. I not only had much more appreciation for my family and the situation I was in, but I definitely became a better person that day because I returned to work with a different outlook. And I think that's what you do, Ms. Nuncy. You inspire others to be better people. And not only do we want to recognize you tonight for your service to our community, but we really want to celebrate you because you're an amazing individual. So with that, and by the way, you are 99% right. I do reserve the 1%, though, for our many conversations we have. But at the end of the day, when you get a call from her, I can't disagree. I just can't disagree because you know why? She represents the voices of Fullerton, and she brings it with transparency, with grace, with respect, professionally. And it, as many as those calls were through our phone, at the end of the day, it leaves us with nothing but appreciation that we have you in our community to represent. So with that, would like to honor you with not only a certificate and flowers and all the goodies that come, but please be recognized in front with the board. And we need to take pictures.
another one. Okay. Hi, I'm Egle Nunzi, and I'm a very proud parent because I want to dedicate this. You see, I know Hilda know me for 9 years. To my beautiful daughter, Juliana, because everything that I do, come, Juliana, come over here. And look, and I'm gonna call, because this award is not just me, it's a community. And this is my daughter that go with me 5 in the morning to pick up food, sleep in the car, and everything that I stay late. She always stay with me, and she's my co-pilot because I'm horrible driving. And she knows the shortcuts. And she's been always, my partner, helping our community, delivering food, helping, wherever somebody calls us, you see. And today is not my neighbor, Anita. She's my uncle babysitter. Anita, babysit Juliana. And I go to help somebody because I'm a single mom. And you see, and she's so understanding and so helpful. And it's the best gift that God, can ever give me. And I do everything for her, for all the children, for all the families, for all the community that sometimes you don't have family here in the United States. When we are together, we become family and we help one to another. And this school district become my family too. Thank you, Dr. Pletka, because you're amazing. And you're a great friend, and your family is amazing. Aruni, Leonel, Beverly, my beautiful Hilda, my beautiful Ruthie. All of you, my gorgeous Beverly. All of you are amazing. But you know what? A true leader is not who goes in front, it's who brings everybody with them. And I would like to call all my safety team. Celia, Rosa, come on over here. Anita, Silvia, come on over here. Vengan acá, por favor. Vengan conmigo, vengan. Y todas mis hermosas líderes del centro, vengan. Mónica, Alma, Doña Mari, all of them. Vengan, por favor. All of them. Come on, Dayani. Thank you. Where is Verónica? Vero, ¿dónde está Verónica? Hey, let's go, Verónica. Come on, guys. My beautiful Cassie. Come on, Leah, Ethan. Because look at my family. Señora Silvia, venga, por favor. Okay, all of you. And I would like to invite my amazing principal, Dr. Varela. And come on, Miss Maria. Venga, ¿dónde está Elsa? Come on, Nicholas. We want you here. Come on, Miss Ruth, because look, you were our teacher. Can you come again for the picture? Come over here because we're going to have a picture. You see? And I thank you so much. Scott, dog, come on, Scott. Come on over here. Jackie. Come on, Jackie. Erlinda. Because look, this is my dealer. Let me tell you. Jenny, come on over here, Jenny. I know, Jenny. Vanessa, because these are my Dylan family. Carol, are you waiting for an invitation? I cannot believe, Carol. Come over here. Come on, Karime, you made it on time. Come on. Okay, and I want my boss, Dr. Cervantes. That's my new boss from Cal State Fullerton. Come on, Dr. Cervantes, come over here. You want to be in the picture too? Dr. Cervantes, come over here. No, I am your boss today. You have to come. Okay, everyone. Yes. Okay, and señora Silvia Méndez, muchas gracias por su ejemplo. Gracias por luchar por esta comunidad. Porque si no fuera por mujeres como usted, no hubiéramos mujeres y una comunidad que la siga. Así que nosotros somos una comunidad. We are a community and we fight for what is right. And this is that was your seed, and now look what you create. Para todos los que luchan en la vida, para todos los que siempre dan lo mejor, este es mi mensaje. Hay que hacer comunidad. La comunidad se hace todos juntos. Supervisor Chafee, come, I forgot about you because I love you. I know, he was looking at me. Okay, and now you see, I know, look, this is, you see, a lot of Latino community, but my beloved Caucasian and Korean community, please join us for the picture. Come on, everybody. Come on, I invite you. Please, come over here, we're going to have a picture. Come on. Don't be shy. Come on. You have to start. Miss Sylvia, I would like to have a picture with you. Venga, can I have a picture with you? Come over here. We're going to have a picture with Sylvia Mendez, everybody. Woohoo! Everybody come for the picture. Look, Phil, come on, Scott. Look, I see the police department. I always volunteer. Come on, everybody. Come over here. Yes, come over here. You're going to be with me. Here. Okay, and Juliana, here. Look, come here in the front. There we go. Okay, everyone. Come on, everybody. Do you want to be in the picture? Okay. No, you don't see Sylvia. Please, look for Sylvia. Okay. We got it? Yeah? Thank you, Miss Sylvia. I love you. Okay, Juliana? Could you excuse me? Okay, I'm gonna take you to your seat. Hi, thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Ay, tú ves con tanta planta. Okay. Oh my God, no sé. A ver, y me quedé con el micrófono. A ver, déme. Sí, a ver, agarra el micrófono. ¿Ya se va? Dame el micrófono.
There we go. It's official. Oh, yeah. It's a whole other thing. It's good seeing you. It's good seeing you. Yikes. I know the city council, they think they have a mayor, but the unofficial mayor of Fullerton is Mrs. Nunzi.
Thank you so much. Actually, Dr. Pletka, please help us out with the next item. As we mentioned, Supervisor Chafee and Paula Chafee are here this evening.
So we're very excited. We had an opportunity, Doug Chafee, who's been a friend to our district for years and has always thought of our district, has always reached out, and we appreciate that he attends our events, he has participated, and so just want to take a moment to acknowledge all of the work, not just this most recent thing, but really for as long as I've been here, 11 years, I've always remembered you connecting and reaching out. And so he reached out to us again, and he said, you know, we have an opportunity that you can apply for a grant, and so we applied for that, and the district, because of Mr. Chafee, we received $300,000. Yeah. So we're really excited. So you might want to say, what are we doing with this? So first, I didn't even know, but somebody came to me and said, you know, we have this property that's right next to Orangethorpe. It's like a house. So I'm like, we have a house in Orangethorpe? And then somebody said, that's where our Boy Scouts basically do all of their meetings and have so many of their events. And so one of the things we're going to do is, first of all, fix up the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Am I getting that right? Cub Scouts, thank you. Save me, thank you. Yes. The Scouts Hut. And so the Scouts Hut will, first of all, be upgraded and changed, and there'll be an area for people to meet. In addition to providing great services to our Scouts all those years, it will also be a distribution center for food. We also plan with our community center grant to be able to offer medical and dental services on many weekends, and so this will provide a place to be able to reach out. We also have a partner called Bracken's Kitchen that provides very high quality meals to families, and so we'll be able to distribute meals out of our Scout Hut. Thank you for the saving me. And so we're really wanting this to be a community center that welcomes families and our scouts to continue to provide great services in our community. And so by upgrading this home to be a home to the entire community, we have a rare opportunity, and that was because of Mr. Chafee and Paulette. Thank you, Paulette. You're always an incredible advocate for us. So thank you both for this, the $300,000. And I think there might even be a supersized check to go with the supersized amount.
It is indeed a pleasure to give back to the elementary school district. I, my wife, our two sons, we all get great educations from you guys. And so I'm sure all of you will in the future. This distribution center is to help our community. I think Egleth's group might even fit in there, although it seems to be growing all the time. So thank all of you for what you're doing, coming here. And I didn't know so much about water until I saw that artwork. So it's our pleasure to give back as best we can. Thank you.
One more thing for the Scouts. I know because my son, he was a Scout. We spent many, many years. And one of the things that their Scouts did is they did a lot of barbecuing, and there was a lot of outside activities. And so one of the things that we're going to do at that house area is there's going to be a giant barbecue out there so that people can come and have a good time and families can be out there. So that's coming soon. And a new exciting electrical panel, too. No.
You were heard on our broadcast that you want the switch, so maybe somebody in the audience that we don't even know will donate one.
I finally got the switch. I saved up $350
Thank you, Troop 1294. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Dr. Pletka, for our last recognition this evening.
This time of year, I love this time of year. This is my favorite time, lots to celebrate, lots of exciting things, and it's also time to recognize our partners. And very fortunate, a couple years ago, two people came out and started a partnership with our Anaheim Ducks. And so Donna Miller, if she's in the room. There we go. And Allison Garcia, they began this partnership with the Anaheim Ducks. And what that partnership yielded is we actually have two outdoor hockey rinks. In addition to those two, they just told us they would be doing a third one in the district. But I think it's not about just the rinks that they've done and the hockey equipment and the hockey sticks and, of course, all the uniforms and all of those things. But what they represent and what they do is good people like Brett over the years have been part of our community. So we had a hockey tournament with schools all over our district, and they were a part of it, and they helped plan it, and they helped celebrate with us. And over the years, great partners are about people that want to be part of our Fullerton community, and most importantly, they want to be part of the lives of our children. And year after year, the Ducks step up. Year after year, they are a part of what we do and the programs we offer and the services, and most importantly, the inspiration that we are able collectively as a community to provide, and they're part of that. And so I want to recognize the Ducks, the whole organization, but a special shout out to Brett, who has really led this partnership and a big part of it. So we ask him to come forward and bring his team as well.
So Michael Schaefer, Donna Miller, Greg Hughes, Brett Kurtz, Celeste Loyato, and Allison Garcia. If you're here, please join us. Would anybody like to say something? It's okay if not, but just in case. Thank you so much for being here. Most important.
Sure. Everybody else is speaking, so I thought I can't be left out. Let's start with everyone on this side of the room. Get up here for a photo. Come on now, everyone's up there. I first would like to start off with a gift of our own. We've got this autograph stick by our most famous player of all with our franchise, Wild Wing. He signed this stick here. So, Dr. Bob, this is for you, the stick and the ball. There you go. And that ball's for you. I expect to see you out in the driveway practicing tonight. Just being here, first, it was mentioned earlier about leadership, and I stand on the shoulders of all that have come before me to help build the foundation of this incredible relationship we have with your community. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Matt Savon and Joe Wong and Jason Cooper, who came before Greg Hughes and I and really helped create this foundation for us. So I want to thank them, and if we could all just put our hands together for them. They're not here, but if they could, absolutely thank you so much for that. And also our team. We have a team of 17 people that work throughout the community, not just Fullerton, but all of our communities here in Southern California. So I want to make sure that I thank our leadership, which is our owners, Henry and Susan Samueli, who are incredible stewards of not just Fullerton, but all of the aspects of our community, from top to bottom throughout Southern California. We are the stewards of their hearts, right? And we get to go out and we get to represent them in the community, and nothing can make us prouder than to be able to represent Henry and Susan. They're incredible, incredible people, and everyone knows, and I see the head shaking, you've all been touched by what they do, and as we are as their employees. So I want to thank Henry and Susan from the bottom of our hearts for all they give. And the last, we talk about, Dr. Pleka talks about the partnership, and I think the thing that's most touching is, yes, we have this incredible partnership, but even beyond that, we have incredible friends. So thank you all so much. We include all of you as our friends. We appreciate you so much. Thank you. Yeah. How about a photo? Everyone ready? Get up here and smile.
The meeting will continue, but we're going to recess for 5 minutes, please. Thank you. Our PAC 1294, please grab a cupcake during the break. board members. Before we go any further, we have a lot to cover tonight, this evening. However, we're going to move section 4, reports from the superintendent, board of trustees, and our associates to a later point in the meeting. I'd like to move directly to section 7, fellow trustees, for agenda approval. And we're requesting that our discussion and presentation from Clifford Moss, LLC, which is item 9C, that we address that issue first. Can we have a motion to approve the agenda with that change, please?
I'll approve the agenda with the change of moving AC or 9C up.
Thank you, Trustee Talavera. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, the motion carries 5-0. Take it away, Dr. Coughlin.
Okay, President Takor, Board of Education, trustees, Dr. Pletka, and cabinet and guests, thank you for being here. Tonight we're asking the board to approve a contract, an agreement with Clifford Moss, and Tom Clifford is here tonight from the company to give a brief presentation about what you're going to be approving for public engagement, public information services associated with a potential bond down the road. We've been talking about that for the last few meetings. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Tom Clifford, and he will take it away from here. At the end, he'll have time. He can answer any questions that you have.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob. Can you hear me okay? Yep. I apologize in advance. I can't compete with the scouts. You know, the ducks. It's difficult act to follow.
That's okay.
But it's good to be here. I'll do my best. So my name is Tom Clifford, and as Rob said, our firm Clifford Moss is pleased to be here today in Fullerton. My partner Bonnie and Moss and I founded our firm 11 years ago to work with school districts like yours across the state, really, on revenue measures, on public communications, on the lead-up piece to considering a bond measure. And as Rob said, this is very early in the process, right? This is really about listening to your community more than it is about anything else. And so I'll just give you a brief kind of overview of where we would head with you and be available to answer any questions. I think you have the presentation in your board packet as well. Now let's see if I can operate a clicker. There we go. A little bit more about us. As I mentioned, we've worked with school districts across the state, raising billions for public education. This is something we do as a passion. I'm actually a reformed lawyer. I did my law degree at Berkeley and my public policy degree at Princeton. Was always interested in communications work, and the 7 years I spent as a lawyer pales in comparison to the last 15 doing this work with school districts across the state. You actually do things that matter for people. Not that it's wrong to be a lawyer. So our firm is boutique. We work closely with you, and we really look forward to rolling up our sleeves and getting on the ground here in Fullerton. There are three kind of core principles in our public engagement work. Again, as we just think about and start to engage your community, both inside your schools and outside in the larger Fullerton community, as we start to engage them about the possibility of a bond measure, we really think about three kind of philosophical points. One is every community is different. So what works in Fullerton, even what works for Fullerton SD in comparison to the high school district, will be different. You have different needs. You have a different set of students and faculty members and staff and administration who occupy these buildings, and so you have different needs. The other thing is listening is a lost art. You're at a place now where you haven't made a decision to go after a bond measure, right? You don't have to make that decision for March of 2024 until December of 2023, and for November, you don't have to make that decision until August of 2024. So the power now is in engaging people and listening to them. You have a set of needs. Your community has interest. Where's that intersection? That's what we're trying to find in this process. And the third is people support what they help create. I know in previous efforts you've had some naysayers in town. We should be talking to people and understanding what is it they're looking for, asking them for their input now so that later, if you do put a measure on the ballot, it's not the first time they've heard about it, right? People support what they help create. And working together, you're going to hear from us a lot. Timeline-wise, so there's really sort of 2 phases here and a third that we won't even get into tonight. Phase 1 is really feasibility, and that's where we're starting now. That's polling. That's early diagnostics around would a measure even be successful. And when we poll, we're not just asking, would you vote for a bond measure or not? We're asking, what do you think our schools need, right? What kind of facilities-related initiatives would you be interested in supporting? And so that's kind of that first piece. Is it even possible? And then the orange bar here is going out and engaging your community, both internal stakeholders and external community members, to have a conversation around your needs. Either election available to you in March, in 2024, March or November, is still totally on the table for you. And part of what we want to do is look at polling to make those decisions, and we want to look at internal, diagnostics. What are other local agencies going to do vis-a-vis the ballot? Those kinds of things. We'll suss all that out in the orange piece. You aren't even required to make a final decision again until November or December of 2023 for March, or late summer for 2024. So that's kind of the timeline. The piece you'll see missing there is campaign. That's something that happens outside the district, private organizations, and is really not a part of our 2-step process. But I didn't want to not say that it exists in case folks ask. Polling. So again, the first piece of the process, polling. What does that help us look at? It helps us look at ballot language, right? We can test a sample 75-word ballot statement, see how do your voters react to that? What do they think? Tax rate. Are folks willing to tax themselves at your full max of $30? Is it something less we should be looking at? Priorities. Are they interested in funding facilities that lend themselves to STEM? Or are they more interested in fixing roofs, moving you out of portables? And that's something we can look at in polling. Timing. Is March good? Is November of 2024 good? Your funding type, your election type. So that's all of the kind of work we'll be doing with sort of your polling. From a communications and engagement perspective, we like to look at this holistically. We would hope to work with you to send out 2-way mail, asking your community what kinds of priorities they have for their schools, what would they like to fund, so that we bring that body of evidence into the planning process you're going through. We'd want to convene a whole array of community members, not just parents, not just students, not just teachers, but people from the outside who don't have kids in your schools. And so we'll do that in a variety of ways. And then from just a process note, a process perspective, one of the things that we really try to work on as we go through this sort of continuum of work is getting everybody on the same page. So what is it that your needs are? What is it that we're asking the community? How do we all speak with one voice? So that's talking points, that's FAQs, and that's training just to make sure we're all out in the community engaging and listening, but with the same set of questions, the same set of talking points. I just want to put this note in here. Together we will work on mapping the community, both inside education community and external community partners, of which it seems like you have a lot. I mean, you had the Sharks here today. I can't even imagine how many other partners you must have. But the Ducks, Sharks. I'm fresh off a very disappointing loss for the Warriors against the Kings last night. You had the Ducks here. We could even have the Sharks down and see if they want to be a part of this. But the point is, we'll go through your entire community in these various categories and think through who do we really need to be talking to, and we push ourselves, not just the usual suspects, right? But folks who maybe you haven't been communicating with in the past, but you ought to in the lead up for this effort. So all that is sort of the process that we'll go through over the coming months with you. We really look forward to it. I'm proud to be here, and I'm happy to answer any questions about our work and our process. Thanks.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. And I understand that we're contending with Southwest Airlines, among other things, for your time tonight.
It's been an interesting day on Southwest Airlines.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I did have a question regarding just going back to your public engagement and outreach and education.
Sure.
When you talk about open public engagement, 2-way communication, mailers, what are you also social media? Are you looking at social media?
Yeah, it's interesting over the course of years, using all kinds of online tools available, right? So direct digital advertising, really to elicit 2-way conversation. So, I mean, we use video, right, to sort of engage folks and ask them to actually come back and fill out like a Survey Monkey or another kind of tool to share their concerns, their comments. So definitely digital in addition to mail. What we try to do is think of, how do you get at your community in various ways from a communications perspective? So the short answer is yes. Happy to talk about more of the details.
And then just one other question is, when we talk about community mapping, I'm assuming that, we're up here as a board and our district is up here. We have, many different groups that we all belong to. With this something that you would survey us and we would give you this kind of a list that we think you probably should go out for? Are you even looking for us to help you with that?
Absolutely. And board members in particular are very helpful with this, right? Because you've all been elected this position. You will always know your community better than I do. You will never say sharks. You will always say ducks, right? But no, seriously, like, we have done this work in communities across California. We understand kind of how to coach and facilitate it, but we will always come to you to really understand your community and dig in where we need to dig in. So I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah, please.
So two. I think one, piggybacking off of that, I can guess what your answer might be, but I'm wondering about whether you have multilingual folks on your team, and how do you see the connection? How would you approach developing trust with especially more marginalized communities that may not be experienced in having their voices be as listened to?
Yeah, we do have multilingual folks on our team. I'm one of those. But there are others. Mm-hmm. This is a really important piece. Mm-hmm. And there's sort of two layers to this. One is the voter file and what it says about who votes in your community, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
Two is who lives here. Mm-hmm. Who are the communities that, in your school? And so again, we'll look to you to understand what's important, but from a communications perspective, we almost always engage in multilingual communications when we're doing this sort of public outreach. And every, as we said at the beginning, every community is unique. It's, in East San Jose, it's Spanish and Vietnamese, right? In South San Francisco, it's Tagalog. Here, we'll discuss what it is that we need to do from a multilingual perspective.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine we draw on our relationships because it's more than just language, right?
Yep.
It's
absolutely
connection and trust. Second question, then, I love how you emphasize people support what they help create. And so I was thinking about how important it is that we start with listening to our teachers and our staff, because I think they know our needs of our schools better than most. And I'm wondering, how have you built connections with those associations? What do you find is useful for both listening to and gaining the support and the trust of those groups?
Yeah. Again, it truly is, as we say, every community is unique. It's different in every school community. And I mean, like, high school district to elementary school district. Sometimes the most effective tool is to convene sort of a regular meeting with a small group of, staff, and then all the bargaining units within the school to kind of talk and meet regularly for a period of time to bring folks along on where you're going, not just with a potential bond measure, but spending priorities, right? And facilities master plan. Other times, it's like, no, it's these three people we've got to talk to. We're going to have one sit-down meeting and sort of hash it all out in one meeting. It really, the recipe is different in every community, but it's important that you put attention to it. And look, the thing is that you will never get back the interval of time that you have between now and an election. And we've got to make use of it to do those kinds of things. So I wouldn't want to prescribe it here until I sort of have a conversation with you all and understand that more. Okay. But it's definitely something that we will have to pay attention to.
Any other questions or comments from the board? I just wanted to maybe ask, I'm very hopeful for something like this. This is an education community. We pride ourselves on our schools. And looking back at our most recent attempt, we fell short by just 7 percentage points. And so I think when you're doing the data mining, will there be an effort to try to find people that were opposed last time and figure out, what their opposition was and how we could address that?
Yeah. One direct answer and then a completely unsolicited thought. The direct answer is yes. Again, time is something we won't get back. One of the beauties of starting now is that you're able to speak with not just the people who know are going to be with you and kind of the self-congratulatory, let's go do this crowd, but skeptics. And something that I said to Dr. Bob and to Rob is, we really believe at this point in the process, we should be speaking with folks who were even against you last time, right? In the hopes that we can do something different this time to earn their trust and their support. So that's what time gives us. It's very difficult to do that in the 88-day window between when you file and there's an election. You have to do it ahead of time. So that's kind of the direct answer. And I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll stay. You want to hear the unsolicited comment? That March 2020 was a very, very difficult, and you've probably heard this as school board members at CSBA or elsewhere. It was a very difficult election. It was the outlier election of the last 15 years. So it's not to say that we don't need to do better at every little thing in each step of the process as you decide whether or not you're going to put a bond measure on, but that was a particularly difficult election. That was the unsolicited comment.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
If there's no further comments or questions from the board, Dr. Cohen, are we giving any instruction today?
And take action on it.
I'll let you jump in. Yep.
The board can take action on it now, or if they want to put it back in and do it a little bit later in the meeting, either way.
Okay, well, I think that, we didn't actually finish with some of our initial program that we wanted to complete. Is there a motion now, or to either address this item, to approve it, or?
I move to approve this item.
I
Great.
second.
And we've got a motion from Trustee Sugarman and a second from Trustee Berryman. Any further comment or discussion on this item?
I think that we should take a vote before he flies out in 6 seconds.
Okay, great. Well, seeing no further comment or discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir, for being here. We look forward to hearing from you.
Really look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
All right, we're going to return back to section 4 of tonight's agenda. Joyce, thank you for waiting. Sorry this took so long, but maybe we need our new principals to see what goes on. So, Dr. Pleka, please take it away.
First of all, we're just very excited. 2 announcements. So first, we want to ask Laurel to just come up here, and maybe she can say a few words. She is going to be the new principal at Pacific Drive. Come on up.
We can get you a mic. Here's a microphone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It's just an honor to be here, and I am delighted to be transitioning to be the new principal of Pacific Drive. I feel like it's a really strong match for me, for what I love, and I'm just very excited to get to know the community and to work together to establish the vision and carry it out in the community. I do have my mother, Mr. Thicker mentioned her, Joyce Mason, and you'll find her in the Observer writing the movie review columns. I also have my brother-in-law, Jose Ramon Nunez, and my best friend, and a bunch of my friends who surprised me, and I am Fullerton, and so I'm just really excited to be moving in this direction. It's a wonderful path, and I'm honored.
Would you give us just a little bit of your language experience so that the Pacific Drive community can hear what you bring to them?
Absolutely. So I have spoken Spanish for most of my life. I started in elementary school at Acacia Elementary School. We had the after-school Spanish program, and I went on and studied it in college, and I was a teacher at the Colegio Americano in Guadalajara, and then became a bilingual teacher and have worked in bilingual settings. I started a dual immersion program in another district, and I am the vice principal of a CABE Seal of Excellence winning school in Anaheim. And I just love dual immersion. I love working with Title I students. I love being bilingual, and I'm excited to bring that opportunity to just as many other people as I can have an impact on.
I'm sure that will go a long way to resting the spirits, Pack Drive parents and community. Thank you.
Just one thing I wanted to mention that came through very clear, and you saw it tonight. Laurel connects. Laurel brings a warmth. I think there's a joy that she brings when she connects with people, whether she knows them or doesn't know them. And I think that warmth and that charisma and dynamism and connection is something that we really need. And it's come through, and it's one of the many reasons you were selected, and we're really honored that you are here. And so we look forward to working with you for many years. Thanks. Okay, and now we're very excited as well. So to bring Robin Munchow on a journey. She was assistant principal at Parks. That's where she started with us. And then she became the principal, started a whole brand new program called My Connect, distance learning, and we hadn't done it before. And so here she came in and built it from scratch. And then she was needed at Parks. And so she came in mid-year, and she's been the interim. And we're proud to say and excited to say that Robin will be the new permanent principal at Parks. All right, Robin, say a few words.
The microphone is right behind you there. Thank you.
Okay, I am super excited to be back at Parks. As many of you know, this is where I started my journey here in Fullerton. And when I had the opportunity and got the phone call to come back earlier this year, it was really like feeling like I was coming home. I love the staff. I love the community. I enjoy the junior high kids, which, you know, they say once you're in junior high, you either get the crazy or you don't last very long. And so I'm back for more. So it's one of those things that it's really fun to be there with the students on a daily basis. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to work with the community and work with the staff to move forward as we take our kids to the next level. So thanks, you guys. And my family's not here. My kiddo had soccer tryouts, and if you miss the first day, you don't get to go on. So he's here with us in spirit. So, and the other one had mariachi practice.
Anything else for your superintendent's report, Dr. Pletka? No. That's good. All right, moving on to information from the Board of Trustees. Trustee Berryman, would you like to start tonight?
I'm going to let people kind of get up and I'll talk really slow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. I did want to welcome Laurel and Robin to the team of principalship, and we apologize now for all those hours that you're going to be working extra. You got a cupcake. We'll give you as many cupcakes as you want. We're thrilled to have you. I'm sure that your principal group out here is thrilled to have you guys on board too. So, welcome. I'll make my report quick this evening. Lots and lots of stuff going on, and I know I want to put a shout out to all of our staff members, all of our teachers, all of our principals, all of our classified, all of our district staff, and our cabinet for the amount of work that has been put into all of the events that are going on right now, all of the student showcases, all of the staff meetings, all of the damage control, all of the safety efforts, all of the, pull up your sleeves and get in and change the way a parking lot is structured to, helping with the dry chicken sandwiches at the lunch. But, you know, this time of the year is so busy, and your job is to educate our kids and to take care of our kids, and then all of a sudden we have all this other stuff, all, you know, the FSD Fest, STEM Nation, all those things that help our students feel good about what they've done, be proud of their work. And so not only in the classroom, but you're helping them gain that confidence that they need in order to become, confident in what they are doing. So we truly, I truly appreciate all that you guys are doing. So I wanted to give you guys a shout out, and to everybody who's come up, who's been working extra time during this time. The hockey tournament was phenomenal. I'm glad that we were able to thank the Ducks for being here. The other thing I'm going to put a shout out is every year the Orange County PTA does a administrators dinner at the end of the year where they bring in all the PTA presidents and the principals, superintendents, and I have to say how proud I am of our school district, because we every year there's the most administrators that attend that. So I think it's a good showing of our community, and it's a good showing of how valuable our principals feel that the relationship with their PTAs is, right, and their parent groups, and just the support, going to DLAC, looking at all the principals that are there to support their DLAC parents. I think our staff, our principals really show that you walk alongside our parents, because you know they're part of a team and that you listen to them. And I think that's a parent of, comes from the top, is really listening to what's going on and making sure that we all hear each other. Because you can listen, but, you have to hear, and you have to make sure that you're listening for the right reason. So I appreciate that. One last plug, I'm part of another group that provides clothing. I can't say clothes because my lips don't work. We provide clothing to those that need it in the community. So I don't know if everyone has heard about the National Giving Alliance. They are having their annual luncheon tomorrow. They help this district by supporting students and families that don't have clothing or linens. And so they've been doing this work in Fullerton for over 60 years. And so they're having their annual luncheon tomorrow. So again, I appreciate the fact that I'm sure we'll see a lot of you people out there at lunch as well. So I just want you to know I appreciate all that you guys do, because it is an organization that really does help our families and doesn't ask anything, right? It's all anonymous. So thank you very much. That's the end of my report for this evening.
Thank you, Trustee Berryman. Trustee Talavera?
I'll try to keep mine short as well too, but I definitely wanted to give a shout out to Jeremy, Pablo, and Wes for the esports event that was hosted at Ladera Vista. I actually had friends from outside of the district come to it, and they were wowed on how organized and how amazing. I heard there was one malfunction hiccup, but then I heard it got going right back up again. Sometimes the power grid maybe doesn't want to function with us, but they were in awe and amazed, and they said that I attended the wrong event that day, because I was also at the street hockey tournament. And congratulations to Beechwood for winning that, and then also for Raymond, the Raymond school over there taking second place. I heard it was an amazing championship game there. And then again, definitely shout out to all the just staff, everyone across the board, from office staff to teachers to principals, putting in the work. I know there's about 6 more weeks left of school, and I know it's kind of coming down to the tail end, and things start going a little funky, as I learned last year around this time. But a lot of things going on as well too. So I just want to encourage everyone to kind of hang in there. And I know we all do it for the right reasons, for the students and the parents and the community as well too. So again, just seeing the turnout at the Parks block party was amazing. Seeing some of the performances, again, it just kind of sets you and grounds you to why we do this work, and why we kind of come together to do all this amazing stuff. Also, shout out to Mike McAdams and the print shop. I swung by Woodcrest to take a look at some of the signage that they got going on over there, bringing that camp. Oh, there you are. I was trying to find it. Yeah, But big shout out to you. Got a tour from Chris over there, and just an amazing, kind of revamp that school's getting, and a lot of love being poured there. So want to thank you for that. But again, to the staff that you've been working with at the print shop as well, big shout out there.
Thank you, Trustee Talavera. Trustee Hanchett.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, it is a busy season, I'm learning. But I just wanted to say a few things. Thank you to all the schools that celebrated Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month this month. I appreciate the efforts that has made in our community. I wanted to also draw attention to the fact that it's Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we, I think, all have a critical role to play in supporting families to care for their children well and support them in the ways that they need to do that. So, and we also have an obligation to stand up and defend kids and protect them no matter what the cost. So I just want to recognize that and also be grateful for the role that our school plays in supporting kids and families to care for their children well. I'm glad that we are partners in that process. I got to attend the amazing, super fun, successful golf tournament this month by the Fullerton Education Foundation, an amazing organization that raises money for our schools. It was my first time volunteering, but I will be back next year. And I also wanted to say to all of our principals and teachers and staff, I see you on Saturdays, on Saturday school with pie and slime in the faces. I see you at our tournaments and our FSD Fest, and I appreciate it. I know it makes a difference to our kids, and we appreciate that you guys are showing up for them too. And finally, I know, this last couple weeks have been hard. There have been some hard situations too, and they turned out to be a little less dangerous than we may have originally thought, but the emotions, the fears that came with different safety concerns were very real. And they were an important reminder, I think, to all of us that we need to be prepared and do as much as we can to do prevention and be able to respond to emergencies. So I just want to thank our Sergeant Bridges, Chief Dunn, Fullerton Police Department. I know they're not here, but I want them to be recognized for the work that they did, both to make sure our school communities were safe, but also felt safe. And again, Bev mentioned thanking our cabinet, all of you that stepped up and became principals and lunchtime duty and recess monitors, being present, working hard and tirelessly at Nicholas and at Pacific Drive these last couple weeks. And I also want to just to recognize the people who reported a social media post that they were concerned about. Turned out to be not a direct threat, but they did the right thing when they saw something and they did something, and we can all learn from that example. And I want to thank them for doing that and recognize the importance. As a mom and as a leader in the schools now, I'm sad and angry that we have to live in a world where we are afraid of gun violence. I wish it wasn't so. I'm getting emotional. But I also want to remind us that we all can play a part in prevention and being more aware to do something to prevent gun violence. We can start by talking to our kids about gun safety. If we own guns, we can store them properly so they're not able to be accessed by people that shouldn't have them. We can destigmatize talking about mental health and the need for therapy and support for people when they need it. And we can shift our culture so it's not just wringing our hands, but we are all working seriously to address gun violence and working together to prevent it.
Thank you, Trustee Hanchett. Trustee Sugarman.
That was well said. Thank you. Anna? Sometimes I visit a school and I see a program that's like new, different, wonderful. I was visiting a school and they were doing a book tasting. And the way that worked was they took the different genre of books, they put a genre on each table, they put a tasting menu on each table, and students came in, they sat at one table, and they could look at the books, fill out the tasting menu of what they thought of these type of books, whether they were fiction or nonfiction, humor, and they then moved to another table and did the same. And they had to taste a clear example of the different types of literature we have out there. And it was so clever. This was entirely put on by the teachers. This had nothing to do with direction from anyone. And it was such a beautiful example that if any of our schools would like to do that, contact Hermosa Drive and find out if they'll share their supplies and things with you, because it was noteworthy and exceptional and very different than anything I usually see in most places I go. Not that there aren't fabulous things going on at every site, but it was just very different, and I wanted to share that. Most of all tonight, I would like to focus on the staff at Nicholas and Pack Drive, and especially our cabinet. To thank the cabinet for their deep concern and proactive actions to support these schools, to support the staff, to support the students, and to support the community. There cannot be enough heartfelt gratitude to give to everybody. What you did and still are doing is beyond anything I think a cabinet would do in any school district I've ever heard of. And to our staff, this must have been a very emotionally difficult time, and I don't care if threats were steeped in the greatest reality or less than that. People are frightened, and when you're frightened, that causes all sorts of things to happen. And the ripple effect to our students and the fear of our students. We heard how some students came forward to show potential violence to the schools to make sure it didn't happen, and the immediate action taken by the principal and the police department. But the reality is what you feel between your ears. And there is no way to stop another person's fears and concerns and worries. So I know it will take a bit of time for everybody to heal on this. Everybody. But a deep thank you and appreciation to all the staff, all the kids who came forward, and especially to leading by example of our cabinet, an exceptional group of 5 people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Sugarman. At the risk of, not wanting to repeat myself, I second everything that my colleagues have said this evening. Thank you to everybody that's gotten us through these difficult days. Just a few more to go until summer. To paraphrase a great quote that I heard a long time ago, there's nothing wrong with FSD that can't be fixed by what's right with FSD. Truly believe that, and I think we've just seen that tonight. So I think we're the heart and soul of Fullerton, and it's such an honor to be up here. With that, information from our associations, please. Anna, do we have statements or to be read or presented by DLAC, please? Thank you.
Is this our new president?
Yes. Do I get a step stool? Maybe I just broke it.
There we go.
First and last time I'm given a microphone, right?
You got this.
Will it stay? Just want to make sure I'm not turning it too far down. Ah, there you go. There's a trick. Now I know. Good evening, President Thakur. If I say your names wrong, please correct me. I will have to say them again and again and again. School board members, Superintendent Dr. Pletka. I learned at the DLAC meeting I will not jump out of cars behind you. Executive Cabinet, and all the families present and listening in the phone. My name is Vanessa Estrella, and I am the new DLAC president. I am the proud parent of Raylinda and Elsa Estrella, who are at the DLA program at Raymond Elementary. I am, let me see, let me find my notes here. As an active ELAC PTA board member and room parent leader, I am able to participate in events, activities at their school and community. I am also the just so you know a little bit about myself. I am also the general manager at our family-owned business, El Pachuco Zoot Suits. Most of you have probably seen it right down Harbor Boulevard. It's a bright blue and pink building, and we make 1940-style suits. So besides my business and school activities, I am also, both my daughters and I are very active in Folklorico, and we belong to a group called Grupo Folklorico Monte Alban, and it is led by the very talented maestra Fe Perez, who a lot of you may know because she works for the Fullerton School District in all the arts. And that's just all about myself. Okay, so on behalf of DLAC, the DLAC committee, we would like to thank the board members and executive cabinet for their continued support to the English learners, students, their parents, and the community. At our last DLAC meeting, parents learned about our English learner master plan and the transitions between junior high school and high school. We also celebrated my predecessor, she left already, Ms. Iglet Nunsi, for her dedication to the DLAC committee and everything she has done for our communities. It has definitely been a pleasure working with her, and I know I have really, really big shoes to fill. But I hope I can, she'll be there. I already told her I'm going to call her, and she's going to help me introduce me to everybody. So thank you, Dr. Julianne Lee, Dr. Elinda Sotero Ruiz, Alma Mata, I think she left already, and Ivy Lee for their commitment to our families. And we look forward to continuing to empower our families and our communities. I think that's the end of my speech. So nice to meet you all. Again, if I said your name wrong, please correct me so that I can pronounce it correctly the next time.
Thank you and
Thank you.
welcome. PTA?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening to our board, Dr. Pletka, cabinet. My name is Cindy Rivera. For those that don't know me, I am the Fullerton Council PTA president, here to fill you in on everything PTA related. All right, so I had the grand pleasure of attending my very first Sacramento Safari on behalf of Fullerton Council. Here, I was given the opportunity to meet legislators, hear many of the upcoming bills, and of course, the new ways that we can engage our community and for additional support. We will be attending the California PTA Convention in Sacramento coming up just here on Thursday, so I'm very excited for that. That's all kind of tying into everything, if you will. Something I'm really excited about, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I feel like it's something that just kind of shows what we're doing. For those that don't know, at the end of the year, we do a spring luncheon, and during that spring luncheon, we give out some awards. So there's the Honorary Service Awards, and in addition to that, we also have senior scholarships that we give out. So we are definitely going through that process right now, but just like everything else, we have a budget. And with the lack of PTA members or I should say the decline in PTA members that we've seen ever since COVID, one of the things that we are battling is the scholarship fund has been decreased. And it kind of made my heart sad because, I don't know, I was one of those that I really depended on my scholarship to go to college. So one of the things that popped up, and I was like, man, how can I step in here and how can we boost this up a little bit? So 4th District PTA had a scholarship that we could apply for, and that would pay for the convention that we're going to be going to. So it is in the budget to pay for me to go. So what I did is I applied for the scholarship on behalf of Fullerton Council, and I was one of 3 awardees. So I'm very excited for that. With the money that we were awarded, we will be reallocating funds from the convention over to the scholarship funds. So I'm very excited for that. See, it was a good thing I mentioned it. Okay, so recently our PTA Reflections art pieces were displayed at the Fullerton Museum during the Art Walk. Many, many thanks to Aaliyah Cass for all of her hard work working with all the schools in Fullerton K through 12, and also to the Fullerton Museum for opening their doors to recognize our talented students. It was a fabulous success. I also don't want to go without mention of Christy Carter, our past president. She organized all of the reflections for Fullerton, both K through 12, to get everybody's artwork there and submitted. Unfortunately, there was a little snafu, miscommunication, and a lot of the artwork was not judged by 4th District. So we felt that it was very important that we do something to recognize all of the hard work that everybody put into it. So Aaliyah stepped up and she got into communication with Fullerton Museum, and it was a fabulous, fabulous event. So huge props to her. So thank you very much for that. Our new, at our April Council PTA meeting, we elected our new 2023-2024 Council Board. I will be continuing as president. I guess I didn't do that bad of a job. EVP, we have a new EVP, Joanne Cho. Secretary will continue to be Nivi Jawar. Treasurer, Lisa Jewell. Membership, Lisa Sherman. Historian is new, Megan Newell. And auditor is going to be Kathy Fernandez. So you may recognize some familiar names there. We love them. Okay, and let's see. As I go to Sacramento on Thursday, I'm a little nervous, but I'm really excited. This is an opportunity for me to listen, to learn, and vote on matters that are all related to our children. So very excited for that. So as our 2022-23 school year begins to come to a close, it's also the most busy and exciting time of the year. We look forward to a smooth transition next year, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on your reelection. CSEA?
President Thakor, I'll be reading on behalf of CSEA tonight.
Thank you, Anna.
Good evening, Dr. Pleka, President Thakor, members of the board and cabinet. Marlene Acosta speaking on behalf of CSEA. We are now on the home stretch to the end of the year. Right after spring break, the end of the school year comes into focus. I was pleased to attend the Nicholas Community Center grand opening at the end of March. I would like to thank Jackie Gallardo Hoffmaster for her leadership in getting the spectacular event ready. A special thanks to all of the district staff who supported the event, especially the Superintendent's Office, Educational Services, Maintenance and Operation, and IIS. Tony Thurman, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, was also in attendance at the event. I have been fortunate to hear Mr. Thurman speak before and hear how passionate he is about all students succeeding. The weather was the only thing we could not control. In spite of the foreboding weather, many members of the FSD community showed up to support. It is amazing to see the Nicholas Community Center ready to serve our community with a wide range of resources in such a welcoming space. The spotlight was later cast on Nicholas and Pacific Drive for less pleasant reasons. I would like to recognize the staff at both Nicholas Junior High School and Pacific Drive Elementary for their hard work under the enormous amount of pressure of the last few weeks. Thank you for sending support as well as police presence to these sites. These things help build up the confidence of the students, staff, and community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna, for reading that. FETA, please.
Everybody said it, so I'm going to give you the gift of time.
Thank you, darling. And FESMA.
As he's coming up, just to say, Mike has definitely brought the fun into FESMA.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, exactly. President Thakor, board members, Dr. Pleka, cabinet members, My name is Mike McAdam. I'm the Director of Purchasing, Contracts, Warehouse, and Print Shop. Oh. Okay. I'm Mike McAdam, Director of Purchasing, Contracts, Warehouse, and Print Shop for the Greatest District, and also FSDB President. So here to talk a little bit about the management side of it. The entire district has been working hard to support and create such a unique experience for all our students, families, and communities, such as FSD Fest at Cal State Fullerton, 700 students that were there, teachers, IAS staff, all supporting that incredible event. Megasaur Saturday schools continue going on. Hockey tournaments, Richmond Elementary School, 17 schools competed. Esports, we had a total of 6 different districts show up to that event at Ladera Vista. Open houses that will be coming up district-wide. And on top of that, just our daily normal activities and support we continually give. As you can see, our classified and certificated management staff have been working long days, including weekends, to engage our students and families and bring the community together. We will continue to work hard daily to be the best we can to create the most impactful environment for our students, families, and community. While the year is quickly coming to an end, all the departments are working to support our students and staff. Business services are getting ramped up for, of course, our wonderful year-end closing days, while supporting and planning ESY summer programs. Additionally, we'll be working to get contracts, purchasing, work orders, and of course, public works projects over the summertime to be ready for the new school year. Woodcrest will be having the first book vending machine, which will be used for PBIS support in our district, which is amazing. And to finish off, we are proud to be a part of the Fullerton School District and support our staff, classified and certificated, excel daily, and come together as the Fullerton School District team.
Thank you so much. Anna, do we have any public comments?
We do not have any public comments tonight.
All right, that would have been section 5. Section 6 is approval of the March 14th, 2023 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes from the March 14th regular meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Berryman. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much, Trustee Talavera. Any comment or discussion on this item? All right, seeing none.
Do you have some? I did have some difficulty opening it, so I won't vote on it.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? Any abstentions? All right, 401, the motion passes. Thank you. We completed section 7 already. Section 8 would be the consent agenda. Do any trustees have any items they wish to pull or discuss?
I've been trying to read through every single consent item, and I wanted to bring to the public's attention just the partnership that we have with St. Jude and express my gratitude. They're providing $90,000 to provide new hot meal transportation for our schools that will be bringing those to many of our Title I school sites so that kids can enjoy home-cooked hot and cold meals, which I think is really important for teaching our kids about not only providing great nutrition, but teaching them healthy eating habits for life. So I really am grateful for that partnership and the opportunity it provides.
Thank you, Trustee Hanchett.
And I'll just add one more, consent item BB, as a partnership with Rancho Santiago Community College. And I think it's great that we have these opportunities to teach career technical courses. And I love that they are focusing on Latina girls' engagement in science and technology. So I'm excited for that partnership.
Outstanding. Thank you.
I have 3 things I want to comment on. Of course, first of all is thank you, are the donations. I want you to look there at all the donations, 2 page worth, from the parents of Parks students. We had spoken before how Parks parents donate to music programs. This is an entire different place that they're donating to. And these donations make a difference for the teachers of these electives. And I encourage other schools to think about how they can bring more program and more supplies to their schools, because parents like to help and support their own children, and that's really important. Second of all, I'd like to look at item, well, not look, just mention item P, which is our understanding with the police department. It is so awesome that we have this wonderful relationship with the Fullerton Police. Sergeant Bridges is about ubiquitous in the school district, everywhere, at all times, at so many events. And we appreciate the support of Chief Dunn coming to our different events. And that makes a difference, and it makes not only a community, but it also supports a feeling of safety and security to so many people who look for that. And I want to thank them. And I'm pleased that we will have the memorandum of understanding. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we are sending 20 students and 7 coaches to the National Speech and Debate Tournament. That is like amazing. Good job, all of our coaches for speech and debate. And we are so proud of all of our students. It is just a group that has just blossomed and been successful. So a very special round of applause for you. And we wish all 27 of you a successful experience at the National Speech and Debate Tournament. And now I'd like to move to accept the consent agenda.
Thank you, Trustee Sugarman. Any other comments or items to discuss from consent?
I was going to say that I appreciate the fact that we are sending some people to get to PBIS training to come
Right.
back and be the experts in the field. I know that a lot of our schools are participating in PBIS and are at different levels. And I think that's always great to have our own internal trainers to make sure that what we say we're doing, we're actually doing. And that we're really spending that time to make sure that everybody understands and everyone's on board. So appreciate that.
Is that a second?
And I second.
Okay, so is that
I
moved,
think it was
moved by Trustee Sugarman and then seconded by Trustee Berryman? All right, any further comment or discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We're moving on to section 9, which is our discussion and action items. I know that we already went over the agenda. However, is there any interest in having our social emotional learning presentation? They've been waiting so patiently, and I just wanted
I
you
would
guys
move
to
that
know.
we move up our social emotional presentation to right now.
See, we see you. I'm leaving. Sorry.
Is that a mic drop?
Yeah, mic drop, gavel drop. Please, we're going to go ahead and turn to item 9C. I'm sorry.
Actually, it's 10.
10.
10A.
10A, that's what I meant. Thank you so much.
You have presents for us? We love it when you
Does this
come.
contain a CD of Mia Valencia's song?
We
it's
love
a-
it when you
okay.
come.
Is that what? She should get a Grammy for that. Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
All right. Good evening, President Takor, and thank you so much to our Board of Trustees, Superintendent Pletka, and our Executive Cabinet. It's our pleasure to present tonight's Social Emotional Learning, or SEL, Teaching and Learning Progress for the 2022-23 school year. My name is Helene Morris, and I am the Director of Administrative Services with the Fullerton School District.
My name is Rosanna Fonseca. I'm the SEL Coordinator for the district.
My name is Amy Sotolongo. I'm the PBIS TOSA for the district.
My name is Amy Lees, and I'm the SEL TOSA for the school district.
My name is Michael Klein. I'm the lead counselor for the district.
And my name is Am Stinton. I'm the student success mentor.
All right, at this time, 2 years ago, Dr. Robin Gilligan and I were sharing our plans with you. You may remember this beautiful framework captured into the iris of an eye with the pupil or student in the center. We shared our vision with you. I see you, you are important, and you matter. And 1 year later, our SEL team stood in front of you and showed the growth we had made in 1 year's time. We compared our story and growth of FSD's SEL program to the story of bamboo. And much like our SEL infrastructure, bamboo spends 4 years growing an intricate underground root system, being watered and fertilized with no outward signs of growth. And after 5 years have passed with nothing to show for it, the bamboo tree suddenly sprouts, reaching a massive 90 feet in just 6 weeks. But tonight, we're about to go deep, very deep, as we tell you a new story. The story of the searching for groundwater and creating wells that bring the water to the surface. But before we can dig our well, we must begin with a very specific instrument or tool, the dowsing rod. Now, some things are hard to believe, even in your own life. And here's a story I have to tell. About 20 years ago, my parents bought 10 acres of land and built a house in a rural part of San Diego County. There was no city water. They would have to dig their own well. And their first order of business was to find where to dig. So my parents hired a man with a dowsing rod, which is a forked piece of wood shaped like a wishbone or the letter Y. And the man walked around the property holding the rod outstretched at an arm's length away from his body, with his hands on the two smaller ends and the longer end pointed toward the ground. And eventually, the wooden rod bent ever so slightly on its own, pulling down and vibrating toward the earth in what is known as ideomotor movements. And the man told my parents that this is where they could find groundwater. This was the spot to dig their well. Now, naturally, this process makes skeptics of many, but the man and his dowsing rod were correct, and water was found, deep and abundant water, and a well was made, using a time-honored practice that dates back to the Middle Ages. So what does dowsing have to do with social emotional learning or SEL? Well, this year our focus is about using our tools, our dowsing rods, to go deep into the well of emotions and experiences that live within each child. We have to find the groundwater and create the well from which water can freely flow. In her book, The Deepest Well, former California Surgeon General Dr. Nadine Burke Harris uses the analogy of a well to describe the importance of healing the long-term effects of adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. And we have a copy of that book for our Board of Trustees and Cabinet tonight. And this book is important because on the day the well was found on my parents' property, my mom tried the dowsing rod, and it vibrated and pointed to the ground for her. And the same thing happened for my brother. But for my dad, nothing happened. The dowsing rod was still. And this seems like such a powerful metaphor to me because my dad was the one with all of the trauma, with the very high ACE score, who would later take his own life. And then I realized, maybe when your trauma is so deep, the tools don't work for you like they do for everyone else. Because when you are so broken, it's hard to find the way to your deepest well of water. You cannot do it alone. And for me, that's why we're here. We have to use our dowsing rods to find those places of trauma or those emotional triggers or those tasks that students want to avoid and so on so that we can go deep and bring the healing waters to the surface. And so tonight, our journey continues.
Integrating social and emotional learning in school is like using a dowsing rod to find the areas where we need to dig deeper. The CASEL 5 competencies, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making detect the areas where our students need the most support. By focusing on these areas, we create a culture of empathy, understanding, and connection. These competencies identify the underlying issues preventing our students from thriving and give us the tools to address them effectively. By prioritizing these areas, we provide our students with the supports they need to thrive. Explicit instruction of social emotional skills through programs like Second Step and restorative practices strengthens SEL practices. Our SEL team currently has 3 internationally certificated trainer of trainers from the International Institute of Restorative Practices. And by the end of this school year, our entire team will be certified. By explicitly teaching these skills, students are better equipped to handle the challenges that they face in school and in life. These programs teach students skills like self-awareness, empathy, and responsible decision-making. enabling them to handle changes and fostering a positive learning environment by promoting healthy relationships and conflict resolution skills. Ultimately, explicit instruction of SEL skills helps students to develop into well-rounded individuals who can succeed in all aspects of life. Now let's talk a little bit about program monitoring. When we first launched the SEL Second Step program, our main focus was, is the program being implemented with fidelity? This year and last, we have continued to monitor Second Step implementation via the following two reports. A district overview report that is updated weekly with the specific number of lessons the teachers have taught at each site over the time. This report is maintained by Amy Lees, our SEL TOSA. And I send out a second report to our principals with specific information that I send on a monthly basis. Some of this information features may include a synopsis of the monthly happenings around social emotional learning, a yearly checkoff list of parent communication for the various units, a breakdown of lessons taught in the classroom, and so much more. This school year, we have also launched a next layer of program monitoring, which addresses the question, is our program working? In addition to the SRSSIE and data points that Amy Sotolongo will talk about later, we are now using the student self-reported survey through our Rethink Ed curriculum. We administer the survey in the fall and the spring, and the Rethink Ed survey is taken by 3rd through 8th grade students and is aligned to the CASEL 5 competencies. The survey provides students report ratings of very high, high, average, low, and very low on their SEL competency skills, which is then used for planning for SEL supports at each school site. This year's data has allowed us to identify student needs, which informs additional supports that students receive. Our teachers, counselors, and mental health providers have access to the data and lessons for additional targeted SEL instruction. With our data, we're able to tailor lessons to address the needs district-wide.
Our team started the SEL program last year, planning routes with our Second Step curriculum. Now that we have seen amazing growth and success with Second Step, Now that we have seen the amazing growth and success with Second Step, this second year, we have been able to go deeper and work together to teach and model SEL skills in action, providing opportunities for students to practice and apply these skills in various situations. We continuously look for new ways to build strong relationships and a sense of community in the classroom and beyond. They have that. Okay. Okay. Through SEL lessons, restorative practices, and a shared commitment to providing a safe and positive learning experience for our students, we are helping to develop self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship, and interpersonal skills that are vital for school, work, and life success. It has been so exciting to watch our SEL program continue to grow this year, and as of today, I've been able to provide 135 SEL classroom lessons and 35 restorative circles and conferences. Our team has also been invited to present and support at school assemblies, roundtables, leadership team meetings, and PLCs. In addition, we've provided 23 professional development opportunities to the teachers in FSD, including restorative practices and SEL strategies for classroom teachers, as well as coaches and mentors and induction teachers. Within the school parent community, we have been able to provide SEL information and strategies at PTA meetings, ELAC meetings, Coffee with the Principal, Champions for Children, block parties, and most recently, our Nicholas Community Center. Being part of the social emotional learning team here in FSD is extremely rewarding. I'm so proud of the work we do, helping students, teachers, principals, and the school community learn strategies and tools that foster critical life skills and provide a foundation for positive, long-term social, emotional, and academic health.
PBIS has continued to grow and thrive over the course of the 2022-23 school year. FSD currently has 12 platinum level schools and 8 gold level schools. I've currently provided over 170 coaching sessions or professional development trainings to our sites this year. Coaching sessions are data-driven and include the use of site behavior data and student risk screening scale for internalizing and externalizing behavior. That's that infamous SRSSIE that we talk about. It's the screener to address student needs. This is also the first school year we've given the screener 3 times, fall, winter, and spring. This year I've worked extensively with the Woodcrest PBIS team to rebuild their systems and train staff. Woodcrest will be the first school in Orange County to have a book vending machine installed, as Mike talked about, on campus, which will allow students to trade their PBIS points for a special coin to insert into the machine. So it becomes an experience and a reward. Installation will be coming soon, so please come by and see it. Jackie Garro Hoffmaster and I had the wonderful opportunity to represent FSD at the annual California PBIS conference in October. We presented about Tier 1 practices to a full house of attendees. Additionally, we continue to be the only district in Orange County with PBIS on our buses. Our focus this year has been to provide ongoing training opportunities to our drivers. This year, we provided training on de-escalating students, trauma-informed practices, connecting with students to decrease behaviors on our buses, and calming strategies to use with our bus riders and drivers. We're currently in what we lovingly call recognition season, as we work with all of our sites on their PBIS recognition applications. And we're very proud to announce that once again, all 20 of our sites will be applying for gold or platinum level recognition. We're very excited to continue and grow deeper into this work in FSD.
Put this up a little bit. There we go. Well, first of all, I just want to say it's been a privilege and honor to serve as the lead counselor for the 22-23 school year. When I started at Ladera Vista 8 years ago, I remember that there was 3 counselors in the entire district, and now we have a counselor at every junior high, we have a counselor every K through 8, and 3 of the 15 elementary schools actually have counselors, at least part-time access to counselors. So it's with great gratitude to watch it grow. I'm humbled to watch it grow for the last 8 years, and it's just been an honor to be a part of that. And we appreciate the support from the board and cabinet for that as well. And I just want to take a moment to thank Ruly, too, for that comment earlier with promoting the idea to destigmatize mental health and talking about mental health. So I appreciate it very much. All right, back to the script. Okay, the research shows that elementary and middle school students who participate in individual school counseling curriculum, and or group interventions that focus on cognitive, social, and self-management skills, which is what counselors do all the time, have consistently shown significantly stronger math and reading scores on state and district tests. Students attending middle schools with counselors also reported feeling safer attending their schools, believe that their education was more relevant and important to their futures, earned higher grades, and also narrowed the school-wide achievement gap. This year, there's been a tremendous focus on utilizing data to drive our school counseling programs at each of the different sites. Using precise data from multiple units of measurements, counselors are uniquely suited to proactively pinpoint student needs who are often otherwise overlooked. And that's the key, overlooked. Working alongside each school's MTSS sports teams, counselors using this data find students in academic and social learning gaps who need support but for a variety of reasons don't seek help. Because of this, counselors in a preemptive manner, and much like the dowsing rod we heard about earlier, can help meet that board goal of identifying and responding to the individual educational needs of all students, each of whom is a unique human being who can ultimately become a responsible and contributing member of our society. And the picture you see up there is our district site counselors. So we got 8 of them. So if it were not for these 8 counselors right there that you see, hundreds upon hundreds of our students across our district every year would never receive the resources that they need. This number is high because counselors do not just support the students referred to them, but also find the struggling and voice the students who need support but say nothing. And they do this by extensively scrutinizing the data and then working to remove any academic or social emotional obstacles in the way of their learning to unlock their fullest potential inside the classrooms, either reading and math scores back up and also outside the classroom. So those school counselors rock and their programs.
Hi everyone, good evening. Again, my name is Ann Stenton. I'm a student success mentor at Ladera Vista Junior High, and I work alongside the student success liaisons at Ladera Vista, Parks, and Nicholas Junior Highs. This year has really been an exciting year. There's been a lot of growth in our program. We've served over 200 students with social, emotional, and behavioral supports. We strive to provide another safe space at school for students to connect not only with their peers but also with adults, whether it be through individual check-ins, social skills groups at lunch, or after-school peer tutoring sessions. We also offer restorative circles to address and resolve social issues that may arise between peers. One example of a success story I'd really like to share tonight is that of an 8th grade student at Ladera Vista who, prior to being involved in the mentoring program, had been failing all of her classes. With mentoring support and her participation in the peer tutoring program after school, she's managed to pull up all of her classes this quarter to a 3.3 GPA, and that's current as of today. Our goal, thank you. Our goal is to use the mentoring program to instill confidence and life skills that will support our students during their time in the Fullerton School District and beyond.
Social services assistants play a crucial role in supporting the social and emotional needs of our families in various circumstances, including those affected by homelessness, foster youth, and chronically absent students. These assistants provide a range of services that connect families to community resources. By working closely with families, social services assistants can help address the root causes of social and emotional challenges, providing supports and guidance to students in need. Through their efforts, these assistants have created a more equitable learning environment, ensuring that all students have the supports they need to thrive.
All right, you've heard from our team of experts tonight, and you've heard stories, data points, and more, but we want to bring it all together for you. How do we know that what we are doing in the area of SEL teaching and learning really works? How do we know when our dowsing rod finds the groundwater and a well springs forth? I'd like to leave you tonight with a few data points, so here comes the numbers. Specifically, we will focus on 3 areas: the student risk screening scale for internalizing and externalizing behaviors, here it comes again, discipline reports, also known as ODR, or office discipline referrals, that can be categorized as major, which are handled in the office, or minor, which are handled in the classroom, and finally, suspension data. All right, with the SRSSIE data, all of this data that you see is taken from our fall screeners so that you can see accurate comparisons from year to year. So in the first box, you see that in 2020, we had 2,325 of our students that were screened identified as high risk. This was 22% of our students. The next year, in 2021, we started our SEL program, and remarkably, 743 students were screened, were identified as high risk. This was 7% of FSD students. And finally, this year in 2022, 684 of our students were screened and identified as high risk. This was 6% of our FSD students. So if you move to the green box, the second green box, to show growth, you can see that from our fall 2020 to fall 2022, we've experienced an incredible 16% decrease in high-risk students across our district. Now let's move to our third green box, where we're going to compare major and minor discipline reports. The data being compared is 2018 to 2019, the school year, and we're comparing it to our 2021 to 2022 school year. Why do you ask? And we want to provide accurate data. So in 2019-2020 school year and our 2020-21 school year, discipline looked very different due to school closure and our COVID pandemic. So a bright spot here is that when we look at referrals from similar years, we can see a 17.5% decrease in our minor referrals written by our teachers in our classrooms, and then an astounding 44% decrease in major referrals handled by our admins. So finally, let's look at our fourth green box, which is suspension data. If you go into the California dashboard or Data Quest, you'll see that we had 223 suspensions in 2021-2022. Our school year is still currently in progress. So as such, we're going to show you what this data looks like from the start of school year through April 18th, which is today. So during our 2021-22 school year, we had 169 suspensions within the same time frame. During our current 2022-23 school year, we've had 147 suspensions within the same time frame. So this is a positive 13.02 decrease in suspensions. In her book, The Deepest Well, by Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, she points to the tremendous value that caring adults play in buffering and stabilizing kids in moments of acute trauma and stress. She identifies 6 critical areas, being sleep, exercise, nutrition, mindfulness, mental health, and healthy relationships as key. I hope you will join me in this work. I hope you will pick up your dowsing rod for the child who can't hold it themselves. I hope you will find the groundwater, and I hope that from it you will spring forth a new well of life-giving water for our Fullerton School District students.
Thank you, and now we'd like to open it up to for questions, and I believe we have our video ready to play in the background as we have Q&A time as well.
Should we play the video and then do Q&A, or? Okay.
There we go. It's a reading video. in our rehearsal, it was really exciting when Amy Lees was talking as the video played in the background. It went really well. And right now it's just a metaphor for our dowsing rod that we keep looking for the groundwater. We find a way for it to work. So even if it's quiet time. So anyway, we open questions. We have our whole team here. So depending on what you'd like to ask, we'll bring that person forth to help provide that answer.
Any questions or comments?
I want to say thank you for all the work you guys have put into this. It's so important. I was actually just reading today about CDC report that 60% of girls in the U.S. report persistent sadness and hopelessness, and similar rates for boys and girls. Like, these are our kids, what they're dealing with, and so this is so important. And I really am grateful for all the efforts you guys have made over the last few years. So this is not to critique. I'm just trying to better understand. I want to ask, and thank you for presenting that data, because I think it's really helpful for us, and it's something to celebrate. I just was curious to look at especially is the student risk screening scale that you use, is that a national scale that's used, or statewide? Do other districts use that same scale? For assessment?
It's a research-based tool. I first learned about it 6 years ago at state-level PBIS conference, and that was a screening tool they were really advocating for. I don't know, Amy, if you want to share anything additional?
Yeah, when Jackie Guyard, our half-master, and myself went to the PBIS conference, they have the guru of the screener. Her name's Kathleen Lane. I have her cell number. And I've talked to her several times, but she's the major trainer for implementation, and so there were a lot of districts who weren't implementing currently who plan to. We had a lot of questions within our session about our district implementing it, and so I think there are lots of districts currently implementing. I think you're going to see it continue to grow.
Great. I mean, part of the reason I'm wondering is I'm just curious how our district and our students' response compares to others. If we're sort of seeing a trend of the same issues that our kids are identifying, if we would see that across the board. And then the other piece I was wondering, because I mean the decrease from fall 2020 to 22, 16% decrease in risk and kids that are identified at high risk. I was also thinking though, that first fall after COVID, fall of 2020, a lot of our kids were still at home. So a lot of the change, I'm wondering if we can account for based on circumstantial changes. So I'd love to be able to tease out a little bit more if we look at the difference between what changed in our world in those 2 years versus what can we actually attribute to our interventions and all the work that you guys have done. I think that's the kind of meat that we want to be able to dig into and even celebrate and publish if that's what we can attribute those changes to.
So for the SRSSIE, to first answer your question, so one is it provides baseline data of need, and then it also is a progress monitoring tool within our own district to progress monitor our own growth over time. I'm not familiar with studies where it's been compared to other districts, in terms of their data, because everybody might start at a different place, but I mean, like Amy said, she literally has Kathleen on her phone. So that's a great question. We'll ask her and we'll get back to you about that. And then, of course, we know that the pandemic has had an impact, and so we tried to be very thoughtful about what data pieces we included to provide the most accurate portrait. And I think even when we present next year, to be able to share the data from this year, that might even give a more accurate picture. Yeah. So I mean, yes, that cannot be discounted that the pandemic has played a role in social emotional learning to a high level.
Sometimes when I go into classrooms, I see that before the students walk in, they put a mark on how they feel today, happy, sad, all of that. And I've seen that at other districts. I wonder, does that come from you, or is it something the school comes up with on their own? Just the reflexive thinking of students before they come in, or to let the teachers know they might need more attention?
Well, I think that many of our teachers do social emotional lessons and things like that they do themselves. But even at our last SEL newsletter that went out, we did include a sample of that, of doing that, of affirmations at the door and greeting our students. That's something that many teachers do, and we do share that with others for them to copy the practice, but I know that our teachers in the Fullerton School District are so creative, and there really are, many of them are in the cutting edge of these practices as well.
Thank you. And kids will report their zones of regulation as well. I know teachers will incorporate that into a lot of their lessons.
This question might be outside of what we're talking about, but for example, I mean, now that we have the community center, it looks like at Orangethorpe we may be setting up something similar where there might be some medical treatment. When do we, through your work, sort of involve maybe medical professionals that might have prescriptions or changing prescriptions or removing prescriptions, and how does that sort of fit in with sort of helping a child be emotionally healthy? Is that something that you come across?
Well, you know, we have great collaboration with our Student Support Services Department and Dr. Brandon, who is our director. And what we have is monthly articulation. So that's the team that works with our school nurses. And so and then like in my experience as a school site principal, you might have a student that has maybe counseling in school, but maybe that student isn't outside counseling. Or maybe that student has other, kind of medical needs that would be helpful for us to know about. So what we can do and what we do is get a release of information in those types of cases. I know we're really looking forward to our park event on Cinco de Mayo, and we are going to have our, oh my gosh, Rosanna, the name's escaping me, but yes, the mobile clinic. So we're trying to bring in more community partners that address the medical needs. So I think in that area, you're going to see more and more growth. But at this point in time, what we do have is our school nurses, and we try to create that articulation with our staff and then medical staff that the student may be accessing.
Just to add in here too, and this is a little bit of inside baseball for our district. We actually have two different departments or divisions, and so Helene's department really looks at what we call Tier 1 and Tier 2, which is what we have counselors for. And so Michael said we have 8 counselors, but in addition to the 8 counselors, we also have mental health associates, mental health therapists, psychologists. She can probably correct me here, but I'm going to guess we're at 40 or 50 of those professionals. So we have, I think, 50 professionals looking at really Tier 3, the most extreme behaviors, in addition to 8 counselors working really with Tier 1, Tier 2. So you're talking about 660, again, we can probably get you exact numbers in the future, but we have about a team of 60 people working with our kids with a whole variety of needs. So
That's great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I was wondering, I know that we have well spaces, I believe at some of our junior highs. Do you guys have any plans for more student center or student well spaces on our campuses for students to use during the day, where they can go and have some time and get resources and et cetera?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So at each junior high and K through 8, we have a place that kids can go to, and the council did a really good job of just beautifying it and making it feel comfortable. And there's like ease of access to it, where sometimes kids just go in there and they don't even say anything; they just sit and chill. And then once they feel comfortable again, then the counselor will send them back out. But I know that at the elementary schools, there have been grants being written. A few grants have been written already to get those wellness centers. And I think that there's more opportunities in June too for the counselors. So at our last meeting, 2 of our counselors got $7,500 to get a grant for a wellness center at their sites. And then, of course, the other counselors were like, oh, I want to do that too. So we're going to use that money to get more wellness sites. But I really do think they're really effective and useful. So, yeah, hopefully we're going to get a lot more.
Awesome. So I also want to applaud for this information. I think it's super eye-opening, but and then also just shows that, you know, all the hard work is kind of paying off, in kind of this whole comprehensive like thinking of ways. So Helene, thank you for your leadership and leading this. I think for me, yeah, and your team for sure. I think for me, one of the questions, and I'm still fairly new to this line of work outside of this, but like with the restorative practices, any trends that we're seeing that I think this is more for Anne. I think with so like the trends that you're seeing in some of those restorative practices that you're implementing, what kind of conflicts are we seeing? Like, I mean, you don't have to bring them up now, but it's just as far as like the supports, like are we able to kind of manage those fairly easily, or are they still fairly complicated, and are we really digging deep into something else that kind of stems from that is, I guess, my real question.
Absolutely. From my experience, what I've seen with my restorative practices training is it's an incredibly effective way to address some of these social conflicts that we see on, you know, campuses. And I think at the junior high level in particular, you're prone to seeing some of these issues come up at that age. It's common. But I've found that sitting down with these students and having these restorative circles and having a chance for students to talk about their feelings and, you know, what's going on and what led them to say that thing or make, you know, take that action, it's been really effective. And I've seen that it'll often address an issue to a point where when I follow up with students a few weeks later, the issue is not continued. So at this point, I'm very hopeful and I'm looking forward to getting more training in that area.
I do want to add, restorative practices is a continuum of services. So we start with effective statements and we go all the way to formal conferencing. And actually we were going to be trained through the International Institute of Restorative Practices from their trainer in May on formal conferencing, which is a very extensive process, and that's the most intensive restorative practice intervention. So there are, like I said, a continuum of practices, probably your 5 or 6 practices. And so, they're absolutely effective from starting from having a restorative environment, an environment that is conducive, making sure that our restorative practices are about teaching new behavior versus just consequences. Are we truly changing children's behavior? Are we teaching them the skills that they need to be successful? Are we reintegrating them into the community? So those are really what restorative practices are for. And we really are implementing them in, we've trained numerous, it's just incredible the number of people we have been able to train this year. And so, and we continue the work in really making sure that our teachers are informed and they're trained in how to really implement these practices.
If I can just add one more thing that I've really learned the most about restorative practices from going to all 20 schools, being called on by a lot of principals, you know, who say, can you come help us? And one of the biggest, I think, eye-openers I've learned about restorative practices, especially restorative circles, is how you're giving students an opportunity to be heard, and you're giving students an opportunity to repair harm. So you're not just allowing the person who's had harm done to them an opportunity to be heard. You're also allowing, in a restorative conference or type situation, the student who did the harm to be heard. Because a lot of times when our students do behavior that's not necessarily desirable, we come to find out many of the times, especially in our younger kids, it was never intentional. Like, not always. There's always, you know, a few who are, you know, do things they shouldn't be doing. But many times we learn just from the process of listening and letting kids tell us what happened, that it wasn't always intentional and things like that have happened. And then we give them that opportunity to repair harm. And so they've been really beneficial in that regard of allowing people to be heard and to be able to, you know, share what happened and why they did what they did. And now how are they feeling about it and how are they going to fix it? So I really have enjoyed the process of restorative practices since we've been trained.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much for the presentation and for the gifts and for everything that you're doing. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's our pleasure.
Before we move on to discussion item 9A, we wanted to just make a correction. The consent agenda had been amended tonight. There was an addendum to consent item number 8B. And so, Anna, would you like us to, thank you to Hilda for catching that, Trustee Sugarman for catching that. Anna, should we re-vote on the,
With the changes, yes, please.
it was, it's this document that was handed.
Certificated personnel report, yeah. It's, yeah, right there, right, yeah, yeah.
Some changes to classifications and,
Changes on the classified, changes on the consent calendar.
with addendum to consent item number 8B. Okay, so moved by Trustee Sugarman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Berryman. Any comment or discussion on this?
Yeah, if we didn't do that, we wouldn't have any new principals.
It's the new principal, the three
Yes.
principals changes.
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries as amended. Thank you. Item 9A tonight, we'll be discussing our board goals. Dr. Pleka, did you want to make some statement or comments?
Yeah, so, this is a process. We started it, I think, in January to begin this process. These goals are really to be implemented for next year, so we are right in line with being able to do that. Hopefully tonight, we'll finalize the language, and then we would do a first reading at the next meeting, and then the second reading in June, and so all ready to go for the new school year in July. We did send out, I think Ruthie sent us out some further information about the word particularly participation, and we also sent something out about student voice. They're very similar. However, there are some subtle differences. Actually, participation, child participation, is much broader beyond just education. We usually typically have used student voice as it relates specifically to education and what's happening in the classroom. So just a suggestion, you do whatever you would like. You could use both words to kind of capture it. But again, this is the board's goals, so however you want to do it.
Thank you, Dr. Pletka. Maybe just for the community at large, for our audience, we have new board members, newer board members, and they've had an opportunity to take a look at our existing board goals, and there have been some edits. And so maybe starting with either Trustee Hanchett or Trustee Talavera, did you have any further comments?
No, go ahead. Really?
I think you've got the floor, Trustee Hanchett.
Okay, and Anna's bringing it up. So the first thing I noticed when we looked at the revised kind of justified version, because all the changes that have been made since we've been having these conversations, is that we agreed as a group the last time we met that we wanted to ensure that the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, was integrated throughout our goals. And there was a little asterisk in the last version of it that said, we will do this throughout all our goals. We had that discussion, does it deserve its own goal or do we integrate it? So if that asterisk isn't included in the final version, I feel like there is something lost. So my suggestion is to put an introductory paragraph at the beginning of our goals to say something like, the following goals approved June 2023 are meant to guide the work of the Fullerton School District. They exemplify our mission to work collaboratively with the community to provide an innovative, high-quality education program for all students in a safe learning environment. That's our mission statement. And recognize the importance of integrating a diversity, equity, and inclusion approach into everything we do. I think that sets up the purpose of how the goals fit within our mission and ensures that we still include that lens through which we interpret the goals.
Any other comments before maybe we address them all?
I have others, but if you all want to, do we want to discuss that suggested addition first.
You know, I'm not seeing it in my mind right now, but maybe are you suggesting editing our mission statement?
No, the mission statement remains. It's only to include it as the beginning opening paragraph of the goals. So puts context and reference to the goals supporting the mission of the district.
Okay. Trustee Sugarman, how do you feel about a preamble for our board goals?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Trustee Berryman, how does that idea strike you at this time?
I think I would like to read it again. I'd like to read it.
Right, Ruthie, if you could just repeat it and then send
Sure.
it in.
And the mission, as I say it, is exactly from, I copied and pasted from our website. So it would say, the following goals approved June 2023 are meant to guide the work of the Fullerton School District. They exemplify our mission to work collaboratively with the community to provide an innovative, high-quality educational program for all students in a safe learning environment, and recognize the importance of integrating a diversity, equity, and inclusion approach into everything we do.
So it's really that last sentence.
Because my concern was we had agreed that was our approach, but it was lost in the final version because it stands alone without, it's not a board goal or objective. And so that focus is lost if we don't include it somewhere. I think these sorts of documents oftentimes have preambles, and recognizing a sort of a common language to show that this is what we want to do. So the mission, and recognize the importance of integrating a diversity, equity, and inclusion approach into everything we do. Could be all our work, or we can wordsmith it, but that's my suggestion.
Trustee Talavera, did you have any comment on this recommendation?
So I'm trying to. I'm not opposed of it. I'm just. When we spoke about the DEI component of included into our board goals, I thought it was still interweaved throughout all five. So I'm trying to read back through quickly all five of them, and making sure that none of it is lost. I think with student voice, the diverse staff, and I think the purpose of that sentence from Trustee Hanchett, I think also it includes it into, not just our staff and not just like how we engage with families and community, but I'm assuming it's also probably in, the high expectations that we have for all students. So I'm trying to make sure that if it's not reflected on here, then I'm not opposed of it, but I think we captured it in the 5 board goals already. But I think so that's just kind of my initial thoughts, is making sure that it's not lost in here, but if it's not, I don't see having it, because I think from making sure that it's not rewording our mission statement and making it sound like it's part of our mission statement, because then that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother.
Sure. I wouldn't want that to be the assumption.
Yeah,
if those were linked in a way that made it appear as if we're adding to or changing the mission statement.
And I think,
but more of calling it out as a separate piece.
Yeah. So.
Trustee Hanchett, can we circle back to the DEI question? Was there another one that maybe there might be more consensus on?
I only had grammatical changes. I just thought to simplify the language. I don't know, are we going into that much detail right now?
No, and I think that maybe Superintendent Pletka's recommendation that we have time on this. Can we get a new version that has the preamble?
Yeah.
Because I think, the other thing that my personal feeling was elegant and simple, and we have added some new areas, I think, for the district to look into and to address. And I think that there was also something about how much time the district can give to each new aspect of a board goal. And maybe it's just exhaustion from me going to different events at the end of the year, but I am hesitant to, the wider that we make our board goals, I think the shallower they become. And I think that was an analogy that Dr. Pletka had mentioned as well. So I would like to see, I thought that it was an either or, and I do like the idea of addressing DEI as basically integral to every board goal, but I think I want to see the language and how it would look.
I guess my concern is if we are all in agreement with that approach, but 5 years from now, will the same folks, if we're replaced, be also hold that? And maybe that's their chance to change the goals. Right. I worked for a number of years in gender equity building, and there's sort of this yes and approach, right? You want to integrate gender equity, but you also want to call it out, because if we don't give it verbal attention, sometimes it gets lost in the details, right? And so I think that there's a value in both integrating and making it seamless, like that's just what we do, but also stating it so that it's held as a value. And our staff know that they're backed up because it is the work they're already doing, but it shows that we as a board also put real value and commitment behind it.
I agree.
I'd like to see it at the next meeting, because
Sure.
when you state it, it does sound like we've changed our mission statement. And that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. We're not going there right now.
But, in terms of student voice and technology, I think we made a lot of progress on those two, which are new. Are those acceptable thus far? So it's really just the last thing is how do we ensure that per our agreement that the DEI, is a flavor that's in every one of these, right?
Well, I think as you read through them, each one of our goals has that component in there. And I don't think we're discounting that. I think that we've said that if you look at each one of these, DEI is, it seems to me, in each one of the goals at some point. But calling it out, I get that too. So I completely understand that. I would also like to see if we have changes, kind of that same process that we did before, whereas when we presented, seeing what those changes could be, so that when we're talking about it, it's easier to see.
It is, yeah.
As opposed to doing it like this. And I think that goal 1.3 was a question that we have two on there. So I think that might be something that we can kind of hash out tonight, since that's something that's been there already.
Agreed.
And I appreciate the fact that we did get that information with you. I think that having the child participation spelled out is very helpful, along with voice. So for me, I think that I don't see a downside to participation, because I think that when you talk about student participation, it's clearly based on the maturity and the level in which that student is, right? So if you're in kindergarten, you're not going to let them choose exactly what you're going to do that day. But if you're in junior high, that participation comes with it, right? And the quote, where was the quote that was in here that I just kind of thought was really interesting? I read it so long ago, but talking about if we don't if we don't provide these chances for our students to participate early on, how are they going to be able to make decisions as they become older? So I think by us allowing that and really saying that that's important to our vision, to allow our students to not only have a voice but to participate, I think makes a big difference.
Is that in favor of the word participation?
I truly would go with it. I'm okay with the word participation. I mean, if it's gonna cause, I could probably go either way, because I know our district does that, but I think when you write it, it then becomes something that people are gonna do. So I would be for participation.
Okay. I could go either way as well. If it's personalized and it's student-centered, then the participation ideally would be geared to that student, but I'm fine with the word participation. I don't think it, I think it only makes it more clear. Trustee Talavera, did you have any position on the participation, the word participation?
No, I had also linked it into purpose. So for me, when students have purpose, they're participating with purpose. So that's kind of my linkage to it. But yeah, I'm not also opposed. It's one word.
Right.
With a lot of meaning, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
the whole study.
And it's helpful.
Yeah.
It's like more.
Mhm.
It's better.
Yeah.
But it's based on international human rights of children, that this idea that we as adults are obligated to create opportunities for children to participate in issues that affect their well-being, right? And so in kindergarten, we are responsible to create spaces and opportunity where they're informed enough, and we listen to them in the ways that kindergartners can express themselves, And I think it's meaningful when you think about children with disabilities. They might express themselves in different ways, but it's on us to find ways to engage them in meaningful ways so that their voice is part of the decision-making process.
Yeah. Trustee Sugarman, you're okay with the word participation?
I think I prefer it. I think that voice is almost an educational word, that we all understand it. But if we go out on the street, I don't necessarily think that our community understands that word as well as participation. And so for better transparency and comprehension for everyone who might look at this, I like the word participation.
I loved last meeting when the OC United teams showed up, and I think Caleb said they're participating with their bodies by showing up and being here, right? It wasn't their voices necessarily, but their expression of solidarity, of being present, was their participation. So I think there are lots of ways young people can express their participation and engagement that are meaningful other than just voice.
So I think, Anna, we can keep the first 1.3, the top one.
Got it.
Which contains participation, and we can eliminate the second one.
But I like 1.4 also, because I really like promote patriotism, democracy, civic engagement, and culturally responsive instruction. You knew I was going to say it.
Thank you. Okay, so the last version would be with the preamble that addresses DEI across all 5 goals, with some other language from the mission statement or some other version of that. And I think that
Can
we
we
can.
look at that at the next meeting?
Exactly, yes. So do we want to vote? It's 5-0 per, I think, acclamation on the word participation, so we're good. And we'll add this to the next agenda.
I just sent the preamble to Anna right now.
Okay.
So if you guys want to even see it, we can.
All right, thank you, everybody. I think that's concluding the discussion on 9A tonight.
Okay.
Dr. Hammett, 9B.
Yay.
Yes, good evening. 9B is approve a new memorandum of understanding with the Fullerton School District and Fullerton Elementary Teachers Association for Professional Development Wednesdays. In our contract for elementary schools only, there is a provision that on the Wednesday before winter break and the Wednesday before the end of the school year, that is a regular attendance day instead of our regular early release Wednesday. At junior high, all of the Wednesdays are early release. So this memorandum would change all of our Wednesdays to be early release Wednesdays across elementary and junior high, creating consistency for our parents, which having those 2 days often leads to confusion, but it also has a benefit for our elementary teachers. Right around the holiday times, there's generally a lot of activities going on in the classroom. That day will allow them extra time to prepare and get things ready for holidays. Additionally, at the end of the year, our teachers work all the way to the very last day of school. They need time to prep their classrooms for summer deep cleaning, prepare report cards, complete end of the year activities, and having that early release Wednesday will allow for that. The early releases on the Fridays before the winter break and before the summer break will still remain in place.
Thank you, Dr. Hammett. This is the second reading, right? There was a sunshine previously?
No, with memorandum of understanding, we have no sunshines.
Pardon me. Any comments, questions for Dr. Hammett? Any discussion among the board members?
As we speak about equity, a minute ago, it seems equitable. And so, thank you all for working to make that happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's great for our teachers to have more professional development time and for our parents to have that consistency, not forget the last week of school that they got to get their kids at different times. My question was, does it, that sounds like we have less instructional minutes. Is that a challenge for making up the difference? Because we normally have a long day on Wednesdays, then short day Friday. We're going to have 2 short days. Does that?
The good news is we currently are not at the state requirement for
Okay.
instructional minutes. We're over that, so having
We're
this
good.
reduction will not impact us.
And I'm for it.
No, yeah, thank you. As having one at the elementary and a junior high, it did cause some confusion sometimes. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or discussion?
You have to listen to Peach Jar.
It's the weekly reminders.
I had the same problem. No, it's frustrating. Thanks for fixing it, Dr. Hammett. Do we have a motion to approve this new MOU?
I will motion to approve the amended MOU.
All right.
I'll
moved
second.
By Trustee Hanchett, seconded by Trustee Talavera. Any other discussion, questions, comments? Seeing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0. Trustee Sugarman, you were on there, right? Okay, 5-0. Thank you, Dr. Hammett. Dr. Coughlin, can we move to section 10B? Oh, Dr.
No, actually, I'm still here.
Maybe not.
Yeah, naming of facilities.
So the naming of facilities, I'm not sure who to give credit, but it came from as a board request a few months ago. And so this is a policy straight out of California School Board Association recommendations and with some input from all of you.
And this is a first read, so if you have any input or any ideas, please get those to us so that we can make some changes and adjustments and bring those back for the next meeting.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments before we?
I
No, I
have
read
some
it.
suggestions. I will be happy to send this to everyone because I know we didn't have the opportunity to share edits or changes. But there were a couple of things in reading through. I know it was a great framework to start with from CSBA. But I think there were a couple things I was thinking. There's 3, it'd be awesome if we could have it up on the screen too. There are 3 kind of general buckets of how you would name schools, right? Or facilities. Individuals, living or deceased, and individuals who have made, locally involved in our community, individuals who have made contributions statewide and national, and then geographical areas, which seems to be our trend primarily at FSD. I was thinking that maybe we could add a 4th, which would be more descriptive of either the special focus of a school or recognizing the qualities or aspirational qualities of the school. I mean, for instance, we have the Orange County School of the Arts. Not inspiring, but descriptive, right? I could see someday in the future having the Fullerton Elementary School of Science and Technology or the School of Leadership Academy, something like that.
Ladera and Golden Hill.
Yes,
Both of them have
yes,
special names.
They do. They have the original name
Description.
more about the location, and they also have the description of the school. So I think just generally sometimes that makes sense to name a school after in the future if we're opening up or renaming.
Yeah, just to add in
But
for
it's
sure. I
just-
mean, I think it's a category we have named, and so
Yeah.
having this new policy represent some actions we've already done, it makes sense.
The other 2 items I personally would add that I think are common sense the expectations, but one is just adding possible language around the Citizens Advisory Committee. So it's suggested that when we're naming that we form these citizen advisory committees, I think the name should be, well, just that committee should be representative of like a little bit more descriptive, so that it's representative of the community closest to those most affected or closest to the school. And that it should obviously include students, parents, staff, community members who are multilinguistic as well. So maybe a short description of what that community group would look like. And then I think, again, it makes perfect sense, but perhaps it's important to include language so that we have a strong standing if we ever need to reject names, that the proposed school or facility name should represent an individual or group of good standing in the community who embodies the values and ethics of our district and wouldn't attempt to represent or stereotype entire people groups or discriminate legally protected classes. Maybe that's going overboard, but I feel like that is the controversy that sometimes schools run into, and so we would be protected to give ourselves that out if we are very explicit about these are the sorts of things we won't support.
I'm not in favor of that. I'll tell you why. According to this, names are suggested from the community. Then it goes to a community board to see what names they'd like to pass forward to this board and what names we'd like to approve. So there are many levels in which inappropriate names would probably be omitted. And I think before it probably comes from that board to us, our staff would honorably look at it, like our superintendent. And I don't believe in putting in a lot of rules to limit. I believe that we have to have faith and trust in the people who work on a committee, the people who work on a board. Even 20 years from now, I don't know what their feelings are going to be about or what this community is even going to look like. But I don't want to put all these little caveats that limit people. I like to keep it open, and somebody may say, oh, that was an unjust. If it gets out of all these committees and all the way up to us, it's probably not going to be a person who's prejudiced, racist, narrow-minded, been in jail for 20 years. I think that I have faith that our community wouldn't do that to us. And we don't have to reject a name. We have to accept a name. That's the positive way. And so I would hope that whenever we had the ability to rename something, that it would come to us with opportunities, and then we would have an honest discussion, and we wouldn't have to look at the negative. We'd look at the positive of the names that come forward.
Trustee Hanchett, could I get a clarification? Was your suggestion for the last one also that we should maybe have an escape valve? Somebody does make it through the layers, something is named after them, and then they later do something that is egregious, and are you talking about needing to change it back?
That's kind of a different.
Okay. No, I was just seeking clarification.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I guess it was sort of a leg to stand on if we as a board felt strongly about rejecting a name that you know, for various reasons, but maybe we need to trust the system, the process more. I guess because it's brand new, we're setting up the system, so it's kind of both positive, creating a system that works, and then also having sort of and if it's not working, this is the options we have.
Is the May 16th meeting enough time for us to get suggestions and also discuss any possible edits to the proposed language, Dr. Hammett?
We could get those out to you, any of those edits, as recommendations, much like the board policy, and then we could bring that back. We would need to probably bring it back as another first read, or another read for our next meeting for discussion, and then we could move forward at the June meeting for approval, if that would work for everybody.
I think that works. Is there any further discussion or comment on this item tonight, knowing that it's not really the first,
Well,
or that it's only the first discussion?
I would ask that if Ruthie could send her Sure. Revisions, and if anyone else has any before that, so when you send it out, we could read it.
And we'll do them like in
there-
different colors.
There was one other thing on the policy that I wanted to look at. It says, when naming or renaming a district school, building, or facility, the board may specify the duration for which the name shall be in effect. I don't know. That's not very friendly either. I mean, that's like saying, we name Fissler School, it will be in effect for 5 years.
And then give us more money.
And then
or
we'll give,
something.
okay, every time we change the name of a school, it's expensive, right, Mike? We need new stationery, we need new signage, right, Scott? It's expensive. And the whole thing is to specify how long the name of a structure will be is like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
No, go ahead.
without, I think we could save some of this discussion for later, but, you know, the baseball field at Nicholas, the Lasorda family wanted to rename the field, and the city had procedures in place, and they weren't able to. So that's why the Lasorda family and the West Fullerton Little League were looking at other options. And so there is a narrow place where, you know, somebody at a field that's named after someone could be superseded later by somebody more local, more well-known. I mean, I think that's the purpose of that language, but, you know, we can take it out if we decide to later. But yeah, it has come up though recently with regard to the city, so.
When you're doing this policy, do we have a reason why we're doing this policy?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Immediate.
So the suggestion had came up for that field, and we didn't have anything in place for us to kind of refer back to. So I think that was kind of what kind of triggered this. But so that's what I was going to share with Trustee Sugarman. So it's not just schools, but it's also any district-owned or leased buildings, grounds, facilities, and others as well too. So I think maybe that's the time frame. I mean, maybe we
But
wouldn't want to do
we
that for
could
schools.
I
but
don't know why the city was involved. If it's our property and our building, okay, then we could change the name of
Yeah.
something. We have a library that was at Acacia named for a principal, and as years went by, I believe they changed the name because they wanted to give someone else an honor. That wasn't because that person was a criminal or a bad you know. We can change names if we want of things.
So I think that's kind of, maybe that's why if there's a certain time frame, saying if there is a new, again, someone else to rename it for another reason, that's probably more current to the times than,
So, but
but
would
not
we-
schools. I
Would
mean, I
we
wouldn't.
ever put, okay, I'm just giving you suppose Lasorda's give some money and we name the field Tom Lasorda Baseball Field, love, love, love. But would we say, we're naming this field and you have it for 10 or 20 years? That would be a little offensive, I think. I would rather see that in 20 years, somebody else comes by and says, there was another famous baseball player that lived on the west side of town.
Gary Carter?
Gary Carter, thank you. That Gary Carter comes by and says, Lasorda was a great guy, but you know, he ate too much spaghetti. And therefore, I want to give you something and redo the entire field and build a clubhouse and a batting cage if you'll put my name on it. And the board could decide that, or they could decide to make it a combination name, right? The Carter Lasorda baseball field. There are options we could do. But if I was going to give money for a baseball field, let's say, and you told me the name sticks for 20 years, I would be like, never mind. I'll give it to the high school district. I mean, you know, I'll give it to my church. There are things I can do. That's not very welcoming for the naming, I think.
No, I appreciate that perspective as well. Trustee Behrman, if I may, just to address your point, which is unrelated, I really believe that if somebody does something nice for you, you should thank them, you know. And I think that in a way, naming facilities, fields, parks is also a way to sort of thank somebody. And I just, it would be nice to do it while somebody's alive.
I
In
agree with
my
you.
personal opinion, you know. So that was my other reason for hoping that we would address this.
Just one more thing too. I mean, it's nice to have a policy on this. I mean, over the years, I think over my 11 years, I think about every 3 or 4 years, someone will ask, hey, you know, what is the policy? What could we do? What is the practice? So it's nice to have something in writing that's a board policy, and in future generations of board members and this generation can refer back to. So I think just having a policy is a good default thing to do, and so I think it's useful.
I really agree with that. One of my kids was going to donate some money up at Sunny Hills for baseball, and he was rejected because they don't have a policy and they don't do such a thing. And my husband like almost fell on the ground laughing. You were gonna give them money, and they don't have a policy. I would hate for that type of thing to happen in our district with a future superintendent who would have a different philosophy.
Questions or comments on this topic for this evening?
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Huh? Sorry. Don't put that in the minutes, please.
All right, so we'll add this, this is segued nicely into section 11 here. For our next board meeting on May 16th, there will be one item on the final revision to the board goals. There will be another item on revisions potentially to our naming of facilities or board policy 7310. Do any other trustees have any items that they'd like to have considered or added to the May 16th agenda?
I have one thing, and I just was thinking, we do have our 2 junior high buildings that are going to be built, and there's the possibility of naming those, right? So that it could come in really relevant in the next few months, right? So, good. Okay. I do want to add a future agenda item, but it doesn't necessarily have to be May, because I think that it might need a little bit more time. I would like for us to consider a lesson learned kind of debrief based on the past month or so and the 2 incidents of safety that we've had in Nicholas and Pacific Drive, to look at what we learned from the experiences and how we can be better prepared and supported should something like this happen in the future. And I really want, I know I talked to Dr. Bob about this, I really want the cabinet to hear this is not a criticism. It is in no way something that I think we're going to find what we did wrong, but more, there's always an opportunity to learn from these experiences, especially when they're beyond our normal. And it's easy to just jump to the next thing and stay busy, but I would really like us to take the moment to reflect on what we've learned from these experiences. I saw that we did it right away. When we heard parent feedback from Nicholas 2 days later, some of that wisdom was applied in the response to Pacific Drive, and I think that's the sort of thing I want to make sure we have the space to continue talking about. So I'd love to see something with all of our stakeholders, from our cabinet to the school sites specifically, the leadership and the teachers, the staff, parents, and students, to reflect on what do we do well, what do we want to make sure is in place for next time something like this might happen, how can we improve, and be better prepared or even more preventative in the future. And I think my hope is that report would allow us, even as board members, to think about how we support that work, whether that's possibly creating a new position, new procedures or policies that support our staff to be best prepared and responsive in sort of safety and emergency situations. So I would like to see that in, I don't know what timeline we need, 2 months or so.
Yeah, maybe we could do it in June.
Yep.
Let's get through some of our
Yep.
our end
Get
of the year
through the
stuff.
end of the year.
Yeah,
Yes.
But
I
June,
would ask that you don't do it in June, just do it maybe, only because I know I'm not gonna be at the second meeting in June.
Okay.
And that would be something that I second that. But I actually probably have a few things to add to it, just because I've taken my own notes. But I just don't want to miss that. So I don't know if it would be a regular at a regular board meeting, or if it would be something separate, so.
Wouldn't it be a report?
yeah, I mean, I think we can do an agenda item. We can do a presentation. I mean, we've already done lots of debriefing internally. We can share that, and then after the presentation, you do a discussion. That can begin some work, and then out of that discussion, if you want to have, deeper conversations, then you could do additional workshop. But I think just to kind of maybe get something on the books, we can do, start with a presentation and discussion of the board, and I think, being sensitive to everybody's time, and we can definitely do something either in the June or we can even do it at the July meeting, whatever you guys want. It's fine.
Well, I'm glad we have this topic. We've got a second from Trustee Berryman. Is there maybe a time in the agenda to go over sort of overall safety, like the fencing status?
Sure.
Our videos are online, and then this is maybe a part of that?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And so we'll...
We could even do two parts. In fact, we could do... We could also talk about next year's safety. What are some of the things? By then, we'll have a really good sense. I think the fencing will be done or pretty close to it by July, all throughout the district. So we could say, we could do, combine those things. So July, we could do it the July one. I mean, we could definitely then give updates on everything we're doing. By then, our board goals will be in place, and then we could also talk about some of our next steps related. So July could be a good one.
Is that in the spirit of what you were requesting?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as long as it's both, obviously it's the physical structures that we're creating for safety, but it's also the procedures, the processes, that how we respond in emergency, and that's communication, that's leadership, that's, all the things that you guys did in the last couple of weeks. So just learning from those experiences and even saying, I wish I would have had this when that happened. We want to know that and how we can support you in that.
Trustee Berryman, does that also give you enough time to add on other things? Okay. Any other requests for future board items? Requests for information? All right. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 16th. We'll see you then. Tonight's meeting is adjourned at 9:17 p.m. Good job,